did I say something?
Yep,
Seven.
Everything's 7 now.
Hold on,
All right.
hold on.
both ways from 27.
Mike, we got to
Is
record.
that quiet?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the commission. I'm Chuck Sheehan, Chairman of the Stonington Planning and Zoning Commission. This is the Monday, November 3rd, 2025 special meeting, and let the record reflect that it was called to order at 7 p.m. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. If for some reason we have problems with this system, it's the first time we've used it, just raise your hand and we'll try to get it working right. We have a new member of the commission I'd like to welcome. Not new to the commission, he was here as an alternate for a number of months, Dave Resendez. Dave, you were a great alternate, and I'm happy to have you as a regular member.
Thanks. Get thrown into the fire.
Thank you for your continued service to the municipality. So there'll be no appointment of alternates. All regular members are here this evening. What's the commission's pleasure with regard to item 3 on the agenda, minutes, number 1806 for October 21st, 2025?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for meeting number 1806 from October 21st, 2025 as submitted.
Second.
Motion to approve and second, and thank you both. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No abstentions? Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that aren't on our agenda. So if you have a concern about anything that is on the agenda, this isn't the time to stand up and grab the mic. But if you have anything that you'd like to address that's not on the agenda, you can come up and make a brief statement. No one wishes to speak under this item. Moving on to correspondence. Candy?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. I did receive some correspondence from we both did actually, it was addressed to staff from the town engineer with regard to one of our agenda items, the fair housing application, but we'll bring that up under the fair housing application in the public hearing, so the public has an opportunity to hear it and have an opportunity to comment. Anything under staff report?
Not this month, not this meeting.
Anything by any of the commissioners for the good of the order under commission?
No.
Zoning enforcement violation, has everyone seen the list of items on the hit parade of zoning enforcement and violation?
That'll be next, that'll be the meeting on the 18th.
Okay. Administrative review. Item 1 on administrative review, application 25-252 Z07, We Lift Heavy, A. Frager.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. This is administrative review for a change of use for retail services, for personal services within existing commercial space located at 12 River Road. Okay. What do you have for us this evening?
I submitted a packet of information. I'm assuming that you have...
We have received that.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, it has been vacant for many years. It's a commercial space. We're going to be offering yoga classes, one-on-one personal training, and weightlifting classes. And we'd like to seek zoning approval.
And you are?
I'm a co-owner.
Okay.
With
And
Kevin
if your
Johnson.
name is?
Amy Freyer, yes.
Okay. Any questions from the commission of Amy Frager, the applicant?
Yeah, Amy, quick question, just what are your hours of operation going to be?
So our gym isn't open like people can just swipe in. It's classes. So the classes will be between 8 in the morning and 8 in the evening, but they won't be continuously throughout the day.
Okay.
So it's
When
going to
scheduled?
Yes, exactly. And I think I included a sample schedule of what we intend to.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the applicant? Hearing none, any comments from staff?
No, sir. Other than in the meeting on October 21st, this commission determined that, let's see, the interpretation is consistent with staff being that the use of personal services is not a significant departure of the existing retail services, which were originally what was permitted at 12 River Road.
My recollection, we had a motion to that effect.
Correct, and it was
Correct.
passed 4 in favor and 1 abstention.
If there's no other questions, no other staff input, what's the commission's pleasure on application 25-25 2Z07, We Lift Heavy?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application of 25-25-2ZON, We Lift Heavy, as submitted with no stipulations.
Motion to approve the application with no stipulations by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Morrison. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the application?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The chair abstains, the motion passes. Old business, application PZ2547BR, Masons Island Landing LLC. Bond release application for work performed under PZ0667CNU in CAM. Properties located at 2930 Dubois Road, or Dubois Drive, Mystic, Connecticut. Is there anyone here to represent the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Just come forward and state your name.
Susan Ferrara.
And you just write into the recorder for the,
Susan Ferrara.
Okay. I believe everything is in order for, we have an engineering report on this.
yes, we do. Came in last minute. Per your request on 11/3/2025, DPW performed another field observation and reviewed the proposed erosion and sediment control bond at this application. Therefore, we recommend release of the E&S bond in the amount of $12,000 with stipulations that the subsequent deficiencies are outlined below are rectified. Note that the remaining items are subsequently small areas, therefore minor in nature. Those 2 items for the record are turf establishment of 2 island areas, indoor mulch until seasonable weather or plantings. Second item, provide stone at roof leader outlet located on the bank to deter erosion of soil. So staff recommends this is approved with these stipulations, and we will simply hold off submitting this to the Department of Finance until these items have been rectified.
So is action required on this evening?
Yes, approval with stipulation.
Fine. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Any questions of the applicant from staff? Hearing none, what's the commissioner's pleasure on application PZ2547BR, Masons Island Landing bond release?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application PZ2547BR, Masons Island Landing, with the following stipulation, that the applicant shall address the outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the town engineer.
Motion to approve by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next 2 items under old business, Town of Stonington and Palmer Road are both deferred to future meetings. Moves us up to item 7, public hearing. And Ryan, for lack of a secretary, which we will elect at our next meeting, if you could just read the notice here for the first public hearing.
The first public hearing, this will be PZ2541 SUP Fish Camp LLC, T-Cores, care of W. Sweeney, special use permit application for liquor sales at existing retail restaurant. Property is located at 4 East Main Street, Mystic, M/B/L 182-1-14. Property is located in the DB5 zone.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to open the public hearing for PZ2541 SUP.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All in favor of the public hearing is open.
Hi, good evening. My name is Linda Arling. I'm president of HHG, which is the ownership group for Mystic Fish Camp. I'm here with our executive chef, David Standridge. Unfortunately, our attorney, Bill Sweeney, he apologizes that he can't be here tonight, but he has another client hearing in Voluntown this evening. So I'm going
Please give Bill our best. It's always good to see him.
He's such a gem. We miss him
He is.
when he's not here. He sends his best as well, and he does apologize, but I'll be standing in his place. So this evening, Fish Camp LLC, we've applied for a special use permit to add on-premises liquor sales at Mystic Fish Camp, which is located at 4 East Main Street in downtown Mystic. Liquor sales involving on-premises consumption are permitted by special use permit in the underlying DB5 zoning district. And Mystic Fish Camp is currently an approved 2,400 square foot retail restaurant that opened in August. Since we've opened, we've had a great success at that location. And while liquor service was not something that we had originally envisioned for that location or that space, numerous customers have requested the ability to order beer, wine, and cocktails with their food. So this is kind of a response to those requests and that customer feedback that we've received.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
More or less.
Okay. Any questions from the commission or the applicant? Any comments from staff?
No, sir.
Comments from staff. Commission comfortable with opening this up to public comment?
Yes. Yeah.
Do we have the staff sign-up sheet?
It's on the table. Amanda's signing in as you speak.
Okay, great. I need that in order to continue the meeting. Thank you. Okay. So there is no one else other than the applicant signed up to speak.
I don't, just a change from how Clifton does it and I do it.
Mhm.
They don't pre-sign in because we're finding that people are not necessarily pre-signing.
We always
Missing
ask
them.
also
Okay.
if anyone else would like to speak. So there is no one signed up to speak, but certainly anyone who would like to speak on this application, either for, against, or just make a general statement, you can come forward and take the microphone and make your statement. So anyone who would like to make a statement, either for, against, or just a general comment. Hearing none, and if the commission has no further comments, I believe a motion to close the public hearing is in order.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing for PZ 2541 SUP Fish Camp.
Motion to close by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Morrison. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Motion passes. The public hearing is closed.
Can I have the sign-in sheet, please?
Yes.
Good luck.
What is the,
Thanks.
Thank you.
what is the commission's pleasure on the application PZ2541 SUP Fish Camp LLC?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application PZ 2541 SUP Fish Camp LLC as submitted with no stipulations.
Motion by Ryan to approve with no stipulations. Is there a second?
I'll second. I just have, do we have to vote on the waivers?
Oh, with the waivers and good thoughts.
Oh, is there a waiver request?
I don't, I've got a whole bunch of them, right?
Bill Sweeney
Okay.
has submitted all of those.
The waiver request, the waiver.
Yes, we do. That's a
Okay.
good point.
So-
So let's go backwards. And we have not voted on this, so
There's a whole page on the, in the application. of
we'll
the law.
entertain, the motion actually can be, the waivers can be
We can
included.
include that, right?
Yeah, okay. So just if you amend your
Yeah.
motion to include the waivers.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application for PZ 2541 SUP Fish Camp as submitted, and also an approval of the waivers that were submitted with no stipulations.
Motion to approve the application with waivers by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Now is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Morrison. Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, next public hearing, we do not have to read. This is for item PZ 2534 SPA plus GPP Fair Housing of Connecticut LLC. Matt Rinelli, I see, is here, and we need a motion to reopen.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reopen the public hearing for the fair housing submission.
Motion to reopen, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is reopened. Good evening, Attorney Rinelli.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Matt Rinelli from Shipman and Goodwin on behalf of the applicant, Fair Housing. Thank you for this opportunity again to present our application to, is this on?
It's on.
Yeah.
And
You just need to speak right into it.
And responsive, is that good?
That's right.
Responsive changes we've made to address comments that we've received throughout the process. We have a good deal of information to present to you this evening, and so you'll hear a little bit from me, and then after that, our architect will walk you through some of the responsive changes we made based on comments from the Architectural Review Board. You'll also hear from our traffic engineer, just updating you on the status of the traffic report, which we provided to you in greater detail last time. And then we have a number of presenters this evening, experts, to talk to you about the stormwater system design, aquifer protection, and the aquifer, the sole source aquifer for this area in particular, and also a peer review that we went out and got from another expert who is with the University of New Hampshire, who was cited numerous times by the town engineering staff. So we went out and hired to peer review our plan. So you'll hear from those three. Before we launch into it, if I could do a little bit of housekeeping on documents that should have been received or have been received, I think, since we were here last. There was a fair housing, affordable housing summary of the need for affordable housing in Stonington and the region that we submitted on October 27th. There have also been a letter from the Westerly, town of Westerly Director of Public Works regarding their review. As you had requested, we consulted with them regarding their review of the of our plans, and that's dated October 14th. There is a letter report from our peer review expert, Tom Ballesteros, dated October 23rd, in which he reviews the design of the system, and Tom is the author of the University of New Hampshire standards that have been cited, and he confirms that the system is properly designed and will perform as designed and is adequately protective. You also should have a report from our expert, Bob Ferrari, who's going to testified last time we were here and will testify again tonight. And then finally, I have just the CVs for those last three experts. I don't think you have these yet, so I can provide you hard copies of these. This is just for the record. I don't recommend it as reading for anybody. I'll provide, would you like one or two copies?
Yeah, one copy, please. Let the record reflect these are exhibit number 8.
Yeah, while you're handing those in, we received a late memo from our town engineer today, too. This was a memo from Chris Greenlaw to Candy Palmer. I mentioned this to you before the meeting, Matt, that this had been written at 4:42 p.m. today. It's from Chris Greenlaw to Candy Palmer and Adriana Bancroft-Jones. All engineering staff has participated in multiple meetings with the applicant and their design team over the last couple of weeks, referencing this application. The impetus of the meetings was to review the stormwater design calculations for both water quality, peak flows, and volumes, parentheses storage. Additionally, a civil sketch was provided today on 11/03/2025 with the latest iteration of design model calculations. Based on the draft illustrations and calculations, we believe the applicant's design team has achieved the level of water quality and peak flows to satisfy the comments generated from the engineering division. We await the formal TPZ submission to include complete set of plans, calculations, charts, tables, hydrographs, stormwater report for final review and verification. Please contact me for any additional information as it relates to this application. Signed, Chris Greenlaw, PE, Town of Stonington, Town Engineer.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, well, with that, why don't I start? I'll just remind you, yes, so our application is for the development of 83 units of single-family townhouse-style housing, and it's submitted pursuant to 8-30G of the general statute. So 30% of the units will be deed restricted as affordable units, and those units, half will be restricted to residents earning less than 60% of median income in the state of Connecticut or the region, whichever is lower, and the other half will be restricted to residents earning less than 80% of median income. The intent, obviously, is to foster the supply of affordable housing in the state of Connecticut. That's the intent of the statute. And it will require, just for those of you who haven't dealt with it, it does require annual income certification. So in the rental style units, that means every year there has to be a certification of income. So we know that those units will be available and occupied by people who need them based on income. And those incomes, I don't need to tell you, but because you read the news, there was a housing crisis in Connecticut, and this level of income, the occupations that are eligible for it include many people that you come in contact with daily: firefighters, police officers, civil servants, teachers, people who work in service industry. In other words, a lot of people that towns rely on for their everyday needs. So this will provide housing for those folks. There's a standard of review that applies for these types of decisions. I won't repeat it here in the interest of time, but before we close, I'll walk through it. And I know in the past you've consulted with your town attorney, and he obviously, if it's still the same town attorney, will advise you, and you don't have to take my word for it, but I'll walk through that at the end. As I said, we submitted a memo documenting the severe need for affordable housing in Stonington, and this is not by any means singling Stonington out. Many towns are in the same position. It's just that the real estate market doesn't really incentivize building starter homes or homes that are affordable. So by providing this memo, we're not criticizing Stonington, but as part of our obligation, we have to provide you with this information, because at the end of the process, one of the prongs of the evaluation you're going to go through is weighing the need for affordable housing is one of the factors. So you need to have evidence of that need. So I won't go through this report, you have it, but I'll just tell you at a high level. Essentially, there are a little over 6% of the units in Stonington qualify as affordable units. Of those, only 14 are deed restricted to be affordable, meaning the other ones are affordable by virtue of receiving some sort of subsidy or preferred treatment for mortgage or other types of financing. What we're proposing will result in deed restricted units for a period of 40 years. And so this project, if approved, will more than double the number of deed restricted units in Stonington. Your Town Plan of Conservation and Development recognizes the need for diverse housing stock in its portfolio, and specifically the need for affordable housing. As you know, the town is in the process of rewriting its POCD, and as part of the documents generated for that, the town has looked at the increases in the median cost of housing, both sale units and rental units, and relevant to our presentation tonight, that the median rental income in Stonington has increased year over year significantly, as has the price of purchasing homes, and that's all detailed on page 2 of the report. One of the ways these increases are measured is what's called the cost burden or severe cost burden. So anyone who's spending more than 30% of their household income on housing expenses is considered cost burden. In other words, you should spend 30% or less. If you're spending more, it's a burden on your overall household budget. And if you're spending over 50% of your household budget on housing expenses, then you're severely cost burdened. In Stonington, 35% of the renter households are cost burdened, and 18% of the renter households are severely cost burdened. So clearly there's a high need for more affordable units in town, and there's additional information in here. I will say the other thing, the exhibits that are attached, we attach what's called the Affordable Housing Appeals List, sort of unfortunately named, but really what it is it's a list of every town and the amount of affordable housing in that town, and we've attached that for a number of years so you can see Stonington's position sort of year over year, and then there are just supporting documents for the other items in there. So, as I said, this is just to establish the factual basis for the need for affordable housing. And then I think what I'd like to do is move into our experts. So let's see, Sergio here with his documents. I think our
Sergio just finish up his westerlies.
oh, so I apologize, Mr. Chairman. Our engineer is not here, and he has some of the slides needed for our architect. So
We have the perspective, we can talk about it.
yeah, okay.
Let's
All right. Sure, Roz, why don't you come on up? You've seen the renderings, and these are really just changes that have been made, so we can describe them. Go ahead.
For the record, the memorandum that the attorney was just reading is exhibit number 11.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Hi, my name is Orazio Ciffalelli. I'm with Allies Architecture. I am a registered architect and I am licensed in the state of Connecticut.
Evening, sir.
Can you please sign in?
If you'd like, we can fill this out while he's, yeah, why don't you go ahead, Roz, we'll fill it out as we go.
Okay, great. Okay, so we were asked to design some townhouses and develop a community that would be welcoming to the residents and guests.
If you turn off the volume, it's really hard to understand.
Okay.
Sure.
That's better.
Can you hear that better?
Much better?
You have to speak in right.
Okay, well, how's that? Okay, so we designed it in a more traditional style. We have sloped roofs, siding. So we developed two building types, the building type A and the building type B, for a total of 83 dwelling units. Building type A is a 3-story structure, slab on grade. It is roughly 35 foot, 11 inches approximately from mean of roof to average grade. It is a 3-story, or 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath unit with full kitchen, dining, living. We also have laundry on the second floor. We have 2-car parking garage, private at grade. Okay. Building B, oh, and with building A, there are 7 of these building types. There is a variant, the only variant that's there is that it's the number of interior units. Then we have building B. There's only one of this particular building type. It carries 9 dwelling units. It is a 2-story wood frame structure over a full basement. And in this building, the building height is roughly about 26 foot 6 inches from mean of roof to average grade. It is still a 3-bedroom unit, 2 full bath, full kitchen, dining, living area, and laundry on the second floor. On this particular building, these units will have a primary bedroom down. That is your accessibility, you have a primary bath, which is the handicap accessibility, for the handicap accessibility. So, with respect to the building, like I said, it is a traditional style, so we will have asphalt, three-dimensional roof shingles, horizontal vinyl siding, PVC panels and trim boards, decorative columns at the stoops, and also, let's see, there was also, for both building types, we are going to have 2-hour fire-rated unit demising walls. We will have 9-foot ceilings, and also that the fire sprinkler system, it would be protected by a fire sprinkler system. We attended the Architectural Design Review Board where they offered some comments. We took those comments into consideration, and one of the comments that they had made was perhaps maybe a little less is more with respect to the finishes and how we handled the building elevations. We did take that and we kind of went through it and agreed. We changed, one thing we changed was the building color from a heritage cream, and we kind of toned it down a little bit to a desert tan. We removed the vertical siding, replaced it with some more horizontal siding, made some minor changes to some horizontal band boards. So all that stuff kind of toned down to a even more traditional look. We did remove the standing seam roofs at the unit entries, and we're going to follow through and do similar asphalt three-dimensional roof shingles. But now we have the ability to provide color at the unit doors to personalize these units at a street level. So these are the changes we've made since last we were here. And I think that was just about it.
I think your civil engineer is here with the rest of the package.
That's the original perspective with some of that vertical siding. The vertical siding was changed, and it only occurred on the building type A. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, any questions for our architect? Most of this is aesthetic.
Questions?
obviously.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have just a quick question. The fire sprinkler system, do you require a pump or is that street pressure residential?
I don't recall whether we had the pressure. We would have to probably do a pipe flow test.
Does this rendering depict the changes in coloration and roofing?
No, there are some digital files we can present.
Okay. Is there anything that you could show us?
Sure. Turn it a little bit too. Is that okay if I just share? There we go. So in the building type,
I'll hold it for you.
in building type A, you'll see we have some vertical siding along the third floor, which wasn't.
Is there any way that you could just, so the audience
it up?
can see as well?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Maybe on top of the podium if you could. Is that possible?
I'll hold it up for you.
Yeah.
Why don't you grab it?
Sure.
Yeah, that's great, Matt. Thank you. Everybody in the audience see that?
So the building type A is the three-story structure. At the top floor, we had originally gone with some vertical siding, which when in discussion back on September, I believe that was the 15th, there was one of the comments was maybe there's just too much going on with the elevation. So we took a harder look at it, and we decided to go with horizontal siding to keep it to more of a traditional look. When that happens, we start to lose some of our horizontal band boards, which There were places where we did believe it could be eliminated. In this particular perspective, we also show the standing seam roofs, and in this case, there was a comment made that perhaps we can make these units more personal. So now we don't have all white entry doors, but in fact, maybe we can alternate them. Maybe there's a dark cranberry door, a pair of dark cranberry, and then the next pair of houses, townhouses that would potentially have a white door, or it could be a color scheme of potentially 3 different colors that we would alternate throughout. So if you were in building G and you lived go to the red door, one of the 2 red doors to the left or to the right. So that was the idea. I think, is there any other questions?
Commissioner, have any questions? Staff? No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think next we'll move on. We'll have our traffic engineer. Actually, will come up and he'll present. Again, just sort of, we're not going to represent our whole traffic report because you've heard that before, but we'll update you on some of the homework we did and developments since our last hearing on traffic.
Thank you. For the record, Mike Dion with Gale Companies, 355 Research Parkway, Meriden, Connecticut. We didn't change the traffic study at all since the last time, so that still stands and it's valid. What has changed since we met last time, though, is that we did submit the plans and the study to Connecticut DOT, and we met with District 2. They had a handful of comments that we have addressed since then. They essentially wanted to make sure that there was room for a car to pass coming southbound at our northmost driveway. So we're going to provide them with a document that shows that. And they also requested some sightline drawings, which we provided to them. And they did not, and they wanted some curb ramps where we have the bus stop, the bus shelter. So they were generally very positive of the project. So that's really the only changes we've had.
Will this application have to be presented to OSTA?
This will not. It doesn't meet the threshold, but it does need an encroachment permit. So this was the first step, getting a look at it initially. So they will get a full submittal for that encroachment permit.
And none of the intersections meet the warrants for a traffic signal?
They do not. Yeah, we've looked at that because the traffic signal warrants, which are a federal requirement to look at. Connecticut DOT typically only looks at what they call the 8-hour warrant, and that is you have to meet a certain volume of traffic coming in and out of the roads over any 8 hours over the course of the day. And the bottom number for that traffic signal warrant is 120 vehicles per hour, and we don't hit that any hour coming out of our driveway. So.
Any questions of the traffic engineer from the commission?
Somewhere there was a comment to put a crosswalk. That's not you, that's the civil engineer.
I can answer too, though. That will ultimately be up to DOT. I know the police commission is going to request that as well. So we're more than happy to throw a crosswalk in if they require it, but ultimately it's their decision.
Has that been shown on the site plan?
The crosswalk?
Yes.
Across
No.
Route 2, no.
It'll be up to DOT to tell us
Yeah,
if and
please.
where.
I know the police commission said they were going to put that in a letter to the department.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Hearing none.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Chairman, next we'll get into, I think, the topic that has a lot more detail will be the stormwater treatment system. So I'll have our engineer come up and he will update you on, we've had, as you've heard, several meetings with town staff. We've also met with Westerly, town of Westerly and Westerly Water And Sergio can update you on all of
I'm
that.
not sure if the engineer heard the reading. Did you hear the reading of the town engineer's memo?
No, I wasn't here for that, and I apologize for my tardiness this evening. But I was informed by my client that Mr. Greenlaw did send along a memorandum, or an email rather, outlining or summarizing to date what's been transpired between our office, our team, and the engineering.
I have the memo here if you'd like to read it. It spoke to the adequacy of the calculations that have been submitted to date with regard to both water quality and stormwater volumes, indicated that work had to be done to put it into the standard hydrographs and tables and submittals and calculations that normally comprise a study of this type, and is subject to further review, but that the concept appeared to be workable.
Thank you.
That's just a very rough paraphrasing, so that you're aware of what was said before you make a presentation.
Unfortunately, I can't get onto the team's meeting, or I was going to try to present the plans that we have to date. I'm not sure if is there a different way that we can get hooked up to the screen, or is this the only way?
This meeting room has Stone Age technology,
Well,
and
I
we
could forward you the
apologize precipitously for this.
I can't understand why the link's not working for you. So.
Yeah, it's probably something on my end, but I could forward you the plans, or unless you have them in the. Is it something you can access?
Not on this.
No, not okay. But I can go through them. I can describe to you what's. I do have a set of plans here. I don't know if you have them in front of you.
Would you do your best to describe them to us, referring to the graphics? We all have the graphics in our package.
Great. I can tell you that as far as the layout of this site goes, not much, if anything, has changed with respect to the number of units, the layout of those units, the access drives, nothing material. I believe that Mr. Dion made some comments on some of the DOT changes, and there was a question regarding a crosswalk. I believe that was brought up. If you don't mind, I'll address that first. That was brought up at the police commission. If I can find that commentary here. There was, one of them was a lighted pedestrian crosswalk will be necessary across Route 2 to ensure safe crossing point for pedestrians and individuals exiting buses, allowing them to access housing area safely. We have not incorporated such yet because once again that'll be something that we coordinate with DOT, but we certainly will coordinate as well with the Town of Stonington Police Department to make sure that all the appropriate crosswalks, any signage, lighting, and anything appropriate for that traffic control is put in. There was a comment from the DOT which did result in a material change to the plan, and that was making sure that there were ADA compliant sidewalk ramps at the site drives. Although we're not proposing a sidewalk along Route 2 that would tie this to other properties, truth be told that there aren't sidewalks on this side of the road in this area, in this vicinity. But should there be an expansion of sidewalks someday on Route 2, there is ample space, and those ADA accessible sidewalk ramps would be in place, which the DOT has requested. Some of the other things that DOT requested are to verify sight lines, which we see no issues with, and making sure that we had adequate turning lanes or bypass widths to get past the access drives. All of which are predicated on the fact that they won't actually act on any of this until there's been proof of the town approval. So although it's great that we're getting ahead of these commentaries so we can incorporate them into the plan which was submitted to you, we fully intend to comply and with Connecticut DOT, and if there's any material change to our plans, which we wouldn't presume there would be, because we've gotten to the DOT some comments prior to, that we would come back to this commission, or at least to at least to the Stonington Police Commission or others, to make sure that we're applying everything safely with respect to traffic and the access points. The most significant issue, which you alluded to through Mr. Greenlaw's email, is the stormwater management, and that's we take the protection and the protection and the viability of the underlying aquifer very seriously. We've gone through multiple iterations of stormwater management design in coordination with the engineering department. There is, we haven't heard testimony from Tom yet, correct?
No.
Okay. I'll don't want to steal his thunder. He's with us over the Microsoft Teams meeting, and he'll get into more of the viability of the system that we've designed in conjunction with working with the town engineering department. This system is by and large one of the most robust and boasts the highest treatment, and Tom will get into this a bit more because he's an expert in this field, for water quality purposes. And this system consists of a 2-cell gravel wetlands system. I believe I alluded to this last time I went through this explanation, that this system has not changed. We've been tweaking it and modifying it based on commentary with the town engineering staff. There's a sediment forebay that'll take out the initial sediment. The town engineer also requested that we incorporate a hydrodynamic separator. For those of you who don't know what those are, it's a structure that serves to remove pollutants, oils, and greases, most prominently through they call them hydrodynamic. They're kind of a swirl technology to settle out and let those certain things float. It's a proprietary technology, and the town engineer requested that we implement it, which we have no issue doing. After that, once again to the sediment forebay, which settles out even more solids, and then it goes into this gravel wetlands complex through 2 cells. And we have designed this both in conjunction with the Connecticut Stormwater Manual and the UNH guidance, which is Tom's background, which they're pretty much the leading academia on stormwater management and through actual field testing and empirical data. So we're achieving greater than the percentage requirements, especially since we're in an aquifer protection area, for all of the pollutants, total nitrogen, total phosphorus, total suspended solids, and hydrocarbons off of these surfaces. Once that system, it goes through that system, which we've sized appropriately for the water quality, it then gets into the second portion of the system, which is an infiltration, storage and infiltration basin. One of the things on this site is that the soils are very permeable. We were getting very high permeability rates from our infiltrometer tests on site, which were witnessed by the town engineer on 2 separate occasions. And that was also part of the reason why the water quality treatment part of these gravel wetlands was so important, because that is a lined system and water cannot infiltrate into the ground as it travels through there. It gets its treatment. Once it comes out of that system, then it goes into the infiltration basin. And we're hoping that water goes directly back into the ground at a relatively significant rate, so that it doesn't exit the site. We want to try to keep as much of these storms on site and infiltrating into the ground, back into the aquifer. And once that water is cleaned through the water quality system that we're putting in, there's no reason why that can't be returned to the aquifer, and it will do so at a very high pollutant reduction. Any additional stormwater that isn't captured by the system, which we anticipate a significant amount, That was the impetus of the town engineer's email today, is that they still wanted us to contain and get as much storage on the site as we could, so we had to do some modifications to address that, and as late as my conversation with them today, they felt confident that that could be accommodated to keep as much water on this site as possible and avoid any discharge off the property. So that's the stormwater system, the highlights of the important parts of that stormwater system. It's collected, catch basins, pipes, and sent to this very robust and relatively complex system for treatment, and then returning back into the aquifer.
So Joe, could you put that in the context of existing conditions and then, reductions across the various storm events and frequency of those events?
Certainly. So as part of our analysis, we analyze the existing conditions of the site. The current conditions of the site right now, as many of you are probably aware, is the structure itself, a broken up, really tired pavement, asphalt pavement, parking lot, and then some grassed areas that are relatively overgrown now. There's 2 dry wells that currently take the storm water on the site today. Those dry wells are significantly undersized. They're just old, antiquated. They don't offer any treatment. During significant rain events, which I've been out there numerous times because I really wanted to get a handle on what was going on out there, you get probably 6 inches to sometimes more during significant rain events of water just puddling and ponding in these parking lots. They generally dissipate relatively quickly after the storm events, but when you're there, you're treading through water. So that water sits there and then eventually funnels down either through the ground or into those catch basins, into those dry wells, and returns to the aquifer with no treatment to say at all. And when this place was functioning, I'm sure there was a lot more constituents on the ground and in the parking lot, which was just being infiltrated right into the ground. There's also a septic system that's located on the site that served the property for years, as it was used as a restaurant, a nightclub, you name it. And that septic system is now going to be removed and going to be tied into the sewer system. So suffice to say that we have modeled that existing conditions, we think relatively and significantly accurately of what the site is currently today, so that we could compare that to the hydrology of the proposed site, which is taking the water now through a much more significant treatment system before returning it down into the aquifer.
And the flows, about the peak flows?
Yes, and addressing the peak flows and volumes. In our modeling, we run it through what's called a Type 3 stormwater event. These are standards, modeling standards. Some of you are aware of them. But these are the standards that are outlined in the Connecticut manual. And we run that through our existing model, we run it through our proposed model, through all our detention, infiltration, all of our empirical data. And our model does show that there is a reduction in both peak discharges and volumes for this particular system that we're proposing. So we aim to leave this site better than what it is today. And we are containing completely a 2-year storm, which are 90% of the storms that you're going to see on this site and anywhere.
Thanks, Sergio. We have more on stormwater, but and Sergio will be here. Do you have questions, or you want to hear from the 2 other experts who are discussing this topic, and then maybe question all 3 at once, or whatever your pleasure is?
I have just a couple of questions. A system like this requires maintenance, and questions have come up as to how it's going to be maintained, what the major components of the maintenance plan are, and how it's going to be accomplished.
Yeah. So the system consists of starting with catch basins in the parking areas and in the impervious drives. Those are then piped together, and as I mentioned, they go through a hydrodynamic separator. I also forgot to mention there is a splitter on this system where high-level bypass takes the water directly to the infiltration basin once the water quality storm goes through, and that's where all your pollutants are. So all of these components, deep sunk catch basins with hooded with hoods over them, they'll have to be maintained for just like any other parking lot that you see catch basins in, for debris that are floating, anything that settles into these sumps, the heavy sediments, those need to be pumped out on a periodic basis. The hydrodynamic separator, it's a proprietary type system, and the vendors which provide that system have a list of things that need to be done. And this all can be done by a maintenance company or someone who's contracted who's familiar with these systems. The gravel wetlands, it's a unique system that I don't think you see very often. I don't think I've permitted one in this town. I don't know if you've seen one in this town before, but it's something that is something that's been around for a while. And one of Tom, one of our experts, will tell you that I think since the 1960s they've had these, but in different applications. Those will need to be maintained, but not a significant amount of maintenance. And he may be able to correct me on some of these things, but my understanding is because they're almost like a synthetic wetland, you let the material just grow in there, and that's where you get a lot of your treatment through these systems, because there's plant materials that help take up those pollutants and the like. So those do need to be kept in check, though, because you don't want to get that system eutrophied so much that it starts feeding in pollutants as opposed to taking them out. So those need to be checked. I don't recall on what basis it is, if it's annual, biannual, or Tom can probably speak to that. But there will be a maintenance plan. It will have to be adhered to. It's going to be part of the plan set. One of my discussions with the town engineer was that O&M, or operation and maintenance plan, needs to be baked into our plans. It'll be right there. It won't be a separate document. And it'll be the responsibility of the owner to hire somebody or to make sure it's adhered to and taken care of, on the basis of when everything needs to be checked. But it's things like removing sediments, mowing the infiltration basin on a periodic basis, and then keeping those gravel wetlands in check to make sure they're not overgrown and causing a problem.
So the plan is service contract then? Of some
Correct.
sort. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sergio, the concept, the gravel wetland concept, was one that was, you said it's not one you permitted in this town, but it was one that was discussed and encouraged through your discussions with staff.
Yeah, actually the first proposal we did was just a large infiltration basin, and the concern was that the water was going to enter the aquifer much too quickly. Even though that's been a tried and true practice, we entertained it, and I think we have a superior design here. And I give a lot of kudos to my client for letting us entertain this, and because it comes at a significant cost. It's a different type of system, but he's told me time and time again that we want to make sure that we are making sure we're addressing the water quality to the greatest extent we can for this project. So,
If you could, just explain briefly, we refer to models, and it's kind of a canned term that civil engineers understand, but nobody else does. If you could just explain how a model simulates rainfall, simulates runoff, and then simulates conveyance, as opposed to the old way of just using empirical formulas that weren't as accurate as this technique of modeling stormwater.
yeah, and I don't want to be dating you, Mr. Chair, but
That's okay. Anybody that takes a look at me can figure that out.
I don't remember a time when we did not use HydroCAD modeling, but
I do.
but part of what we, at least what I studied, I'm not that young, is that what goes into these models are empirical formulas. It's just like anything, and the chat GPTs of the day, they can run things much faster and allow us. It's a tool, but you still have to know how to use that tool. So it is running those background calculations, and just to basically what we do is we take an area that is what we call a subcatchment area that captures a certain amount of water. We throw in characteristics into that model, and lo and behold, the output comes out and tells us what the peak discharges and the rates of runoff will be, and the volumes based on a predetermined and preset input of rainfall. So it's they call them a type 3 24-hour storm event. It starts off slow and then peaks down at the 12th hour and then comes back down to the 24th. Most storm events we know don't act that way, but it's the best, it's the most standardized way that we can model a stormwater system. And basically, you take a site which is grass, pavement, and building, and then we take those inputs, and then when the proposed condition, we can simulate those same inputs, and then we incorporate a detention system such as an infiltration basin, and the calculations that are performed show that that system will hold back the water in such a way and put it into the ground, and then come out with an output of how much volume and is going into the ground, how much volume is coming off of the site, along with the peak discharges for each. I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it does. It explains that essentially, instead of just looking at peak flow rates and dealing with peak flow rates, calculations that were employed in this design look at stormwater volumes.
Correct.
And volume is a much more important parameter in determining what has to be held back in order to prevent flooding downstream. So the tools that were used here are much more state-of-the-art than were historically used, and come up with a much better plan because it actually simulates how the water falls out of the sky, runs off the ground, is detained in the system, and ultimately discharged into a variety of different basins. Thank you.
And if I can just add one quick thing, is that the town engineer and the assistant town engineer painstakingly went through the calculations, because I had the discussions with them on very detailed, down to the probably minute of the peak volume or discharge. They asked me to because we usually boil down our tables into every couple of hours. They wanted to see it down to the minute to make sure that they had the exact point of when. So we had very productive and very productive discussions on that, and we appreciated the amount of time and detail that they went into. Although it created a little more work for me, but that's okay.
And
Thank you.
so you're just to confirm, so the HydroCAD model is the industry standard, this commission, in all the applications it gets and the information it relies on for stormwater systems of any sizes.
It's one of them. There's HydroCAD, there's PondPack, there's a variety of them, but they're all at that level where they can accurately estimate rainfall, runoff, detention, and conveyance.
Yeah, so I think the point we're trying to make is, there's nothing we did here that the commission wouldn't rely on for other applications. And as Sergio said, in many ways, this system has probably gotten more attention than most, and for the good, because you want to be able to rely on the results.
Agreed.
So,
Any other questions of the applicant's engineer?
I have one for I'm sorry, Mr. Traffic gentleman. Where the potential crosswalk's going to be, what's the average speed there of cars going through there?
So,
There we go.
oh, I thought that was me, sorry. Again, for the record, Mike Dion with BL Companies. The 85th percentile speed in front of the site is about 50 miles an hour. So that means that 85% of the cars are driving at 50 miles an hour. So yes, it's a crosswalk is a little tough, which is why we're going to let the police commission handle that.
Is that common?
Not typically. It's a little high speed for me to want to cross there. I think the concern with some of the school buses are, I I think that hopefully the buses stop on both sides of the road, because they're not gonna go, I'm not positive if the buses would or not go up and down the roads on the other side of the street to get the kids there, or if the kids have to come to the end of the block, like they do on my street. So you could potentially have kids crossing. It'd be, I would, in my opinion, I would prefer that a person on the bus gets out and makes sure cars stop to cross the kids and trust them to cross with their crosswalk.
And the law is in Connecticut, you have to stop.
You have to stop both directions for the school bus, yes. And I think that's one of the reasons why we had talked about earlier about putting in a bus pull-off. And I think that just confuses people. So you'd rather have the bus stop in the road, have the sign come out, and make sure that everybody knows they still have to stop.
But you're saying bus, this is just for buses?
School buses.
Not for a crosswalk across that route too?
State law, you are supposed to stop for pedestrians and crosswalk, but that's the state law.
All right, okay, thank you.
And they do have those lighted crosswalks now too, right?
You could put in or investigate rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Those are the pedestrian signs, crossing signs. You hit the button and the lights will flash to alert the people that you're supposed to stop if there's somebody there. Those could always be investigated if the DOT would like that, but typically the DOT allows municipalities to put those on the roads. The DOT doesn't like to own and maintain them, so that would be on the town to own and maintain that system.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the traffic engineer while we have him here?
I'm not going anywhere.
Just to clarify, there's no place to cross to, right? There's no sidewalk on either side of the road there?
That's correct. There's no sidewalk. There's no place to get to.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I think, as indicated, we are installing the handicap sidewalk curbs for future sidewalks. So when the town brings the sidewalks further up Liberty Street, there'll be a spot to connect to. But right now, there's nothing on either side. Now, I think what we'd like to do is hear from Tom Ballestero. He's, as mentioned before, Tom is is an engineer. He is the director of the Stormwater Center at the University of New Hampshire. That center has come up often in Connecticut and around New England as sort of a marquee research institute for stormwater equipment. So they have literally, they have this equipment on site and they set it up and they model it and they test it. So they base all their, and Tom can tell you, results on things they literally assemble and have field systems to observe. Tom has been, I believe, at UNH for over 20 years. His CV is in the record. He has, I won't embarrass him, but several Fulbright scholarships listed on that. And he, as part of his work with UNH, they are funded in part by NOAA. He is the principal investigator of stormwater up there. And the center has designed and constructed and maintained hundreds of stormwater systems and bioretention systems, detention ponds, swales, etc. And in particular, their specifications for subsurface gravel wetlands and other porous asphalt are known throughout the country. And we retain Tom after our meetings with the town engineers because they on multiple occasions reference the UNH work. And so we wanted to provide an extra layer of review and confidence in the results. So I'll let Tom explain any other details about his work. And he has provided you, I'm sure he'll tell you in his presentation, with a letter report summarizing his findings and review of the system and his conclusion that it meets the Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual and the design guidance for the University of New Hampshire. Tom, go ahead.
Sure. Can everybody hear me all right?
No.
I can hear him fine.
I can, but I'm back there, they can, yeah.
Can you put a microphone there?
If anybody wants to move forward, please, you can come
I
forward.
turned up my mic as.
Actually, if you want to maybe put the microphone up there, maybe that'll
Is that
help
what this
broadcast it.
Hold on, we'll check.
Sorry.
Testing?
Thank you. See if that works.
Try that.
That's a tap. That's better.
Where's the speaker?
Yeah, that's on the speaker against the.
Can you turn the volume up on your?
Yeah, it's true. Want to have him try to talk again? I don't know if he's-
Want to have them, yeah, just test that volume now.
Oh, you know why? We lost connection.
Yep.
Digital connection.
I don't want to say too much here because I was previously characterized as analog man. So
Yeah, I'm not offering any advice either.
Yeah, I lost Wi-Fi connection.
Here's the guest one. So it's- oh, there you go.
If you just call in by phone and put it to the microphone?
these microphones are pretty sensitive. This might work.
I don't think she's able to connect that for a while. It's just gonna let it, yeah, whatever reason.
Do you want to go down to the Wi-Fi setting?
Can we try to get them on the phone at the same time?
Yeah, probably the best.
I might be able to get them.
He's on your screen.
Is he talking? Yeah, I can't hear him.
See him mute?
Want to try to get them on the phone now?
Yeah.
And
No, he's not on the He's talking, I don't know, he's talking to.
Talk to somebody.
again, we apologize. We had requested another facility for this that has much better technology.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on, if it's okay, until we get the teams back up and running, I'm gonna try to, are you okay doing this by telephone?
Oh, yeah, that's fine with
Okay,
me.
hold
I just
on.
don't know if they can hear me.
Well, we're gonna see if we can make it work. Go
Is
ahead.
that on speaker?
Yeah,
Matt?
it's on speaker.
Is your phone on
Can you hear
speaker?
me now?
Not yet. Hold on, keep trying. How's that?
It sounds like you got
Oh, no, they got that back.
just got the meeting back.
Okay. All right, let's move this over there. Hold on, Tom. Do you know where the speakers are on your?
Let's not disconnect them again.
Yeah, please.
Almost touch the speaker. Go ahead, Tom.
Disconnected.
How's that?
That's good. I can hear you.
Everybody
A little
okay?
better?
Yeah. Sorry for the delay, folks. So I guess we proceed while we've got the charm here.
Do you have the sound? Can you hear me at the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, that's great. So I apologize for having to do this remotely. It's a 3-hour drive for me, and I have an 8 a.m. class. So there's only one of me, so here I am. And I don't want to waste your time. I really appreciate you letting me do this online. So again, the applicant contacted me in September of 2025 to review their stormwater designs based on comments they got from the town. And also in my review, I was giving them design guidance on maybe some modifications they could do. You've already heard some of my background. You have my resume. I don't want to belabor that. Yes, I've been involved with the Stormwater Center. We've monitored the performance, both hydrology and water quality of dozens of projects that we've designed all over New England. actually down into Pennsylvania and internationally. And so in our design guidance, we did not invent the subsurface gravel wetland, but we probably pioneered it in this country. We actually stole the designs out of the Georgia State Manual back in the year 2000. No system had ever been built in Georgia at that time. There had only been 3 built in the country, but no one had data on them. So that is a pretty novel system that now is well tested in the United States. So I am a professional engineer. I do not hold licensure in Connecticut, but I do have licensure in 6 other states. I reviewed the designs for this subsurface gravel wetland and the infiltration basin systems. They both meet the design guidance and the stormwater guidance in the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual. There are no increases in the peak flow up to the 100-year event. They didn't model anything larger than the 100-year event. This site retains rainfall up to 3 inches of what's generated on the site. So that's a pretty high bar. The Connecticut manual asks for 1.3 inches. The treatment provided by both the subsurface gravel wetland and individually an infiltration system. In New Hampshire, these would be the 2 of the highest tier systems. So we actually classify in our stormwater guidance all the different stormwater methods into tiers. And there's only about 4 or 5 systems in the top tier. And individually, these 2 are in the top tier. And at this site, they're in a series. So first it goes through the subsurface gravel wetland, the first 1.3 inches, and then into the infiltration system. Higher flows will bypass that subsurface gravel wetland. That's what a model would predict. My experience in monitoring all of these systems, and I'm glad one of the commissioners asked about how does the rainfall and runoff computed these days, because I do go back to the days of slide rules, and I remember what we used to do. But the big difference is that the design rainfall is like a big thunder shower, and the majority of storms don't look like that. And for that reason, most of the designs we put forth with green stormwater infrastructure can out-design and outperform up to 2 times the design rainfall. So for example, if a system, a bioretention, was designed for a 1-inch storm, very commonly it can manage up to 2 inches because the rain doesn't fall like a thunderstorm all the time. And so the treatment train gives you the best removal, as Sergio was saying, for sediment, nutrients, metals, petroleum hydrocarbons. Those are the common things you look at. We've spent a lot of taxpayer hard-earned dollars on non-detects. So when we started the Stormwater Center, we were looking for over 200 different chemicals. And very often, half the time, we didn't find anything. That is, it was always below detection. So the contaminants that are typically thrown out there are the ones that are more often than not found in stormwater and could cause concerns. So yeah, and basically the designs are very effective. This is probably a Cadillac of systems in my experience. And to address that one question on maintenance, the subsurface gravel wetland, as with a lot of green stormwater infrastructure, are ridiculously simple to maintain. Our systems, we've had a system running for 20 years. Every 3 years, we cut everything that's growing above the ground, rake out that and all the dead vegetation, and let it go. So that's the end of my prepared remarks. I'll take questions if you have them.
Questions from the commission? Thank you for that presentation. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, and I'll stay on. I'll mute myself now, but I'll be on through the end of this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I just ask one question while he's still here?
Surely.
Were you aware that this system and this piece of property is over our sole source aquifer and the requirements of the Connecticut DEP code for water runoff?
yes, I was aware it's over your APD, and I did see the letter from the water company. And I don't have a big problem infiltrating treated stormwater over aquifers. Typically, stormwater runoff from a site like this is not that big of a concern. It's more often a bigger concern if you're over commercial or industrial properties or places that might have characteristic waste like a gasoline station. So under developments like this, I think after it goes through the subsurface gravel wetland, the water infiltrating will be fine.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thompson?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and thank you, Tom. So I was going to say and Tom mentioned it, you know, at our last meeting, you had asked that we consult with the town of Westerly and the Westerly water utilities. And so we did. We provided them with our plans and answered all their questions. I believe Sergio and Mr. Arganese met with them in person to answer any questions, and they provided you with a letter dated October 14th. It says Westerly Water Department's consultant has reviewed the proposed drainage plans and the evaluation of potential impacts report for the referenced property, which is listed as our site, and confirms there are no concerns with this project as they would relate to aquifer protection. And so that's in the record. And again, the commission had requested we do that. So again, we've taken a lot of effort to really design, you know, I would say beyond anything that's required in the regulations. A lot of the standards and water quality numbers we're hitting exceed what's required in the town's regulations, but we understand the interest in this topic, and we hope by having these extra consultations will provide the commission with a high level of confidence in the system. And so I think on that, we have one more consultant, Bob Ferrari, who is going to come up and talk to you about the aquifer and the hydrology of the area. And he has provided you with a report that is in the record. And it was dated, let me tell you. Do you have your report? When was it dated?
It was updated September 26th, 2025. The original report was January 10th, 2024.
Can everybody hear this gentleman? No. If you could just get a little closer to the microphone.
Okay, is that better? All right. Before I start, I want to add one comment relative to the stormwater. I know that Chairman Sheehan will appreciate this. You made a comment earlier, and as you look at me, you can also see I'm a bit of a veteran, and I can confirm that stormwater calculations used to focus heavily on storm intensity and time of concentration. And it was Sergio's father, who was a year ahead of me in school, who taught me all about stormwater treatment and collection and treatment. And we were using advanced instruments like a planimeter to get area, and we graduated from slide rules to the now legendary Texas Instruments SR10 calculator.
Never to look back again.
Never. In any event, I won't bore you with a lot of the details of the report. I'm sure you've already had the opportunity to review it, but I will touch on some highlights here. Very quickly, just to refresh everyone's memory. This site added a lot from the original presentation to now. We added one additional lot on the southern end of it. Total site area is about 4.82 acres. As was mentioned earlier, the existing site is a currently inactive bar, restaurant, club facility. It had about 1.5 acres of pavement. And I'm sure they had very variable traffic, but a lot of traffic, and they generated a fair amount of stormwater for the site and a lot of sanitary wastewater. To date, 100% of all sanitary wastewater generated on the site is going through an on-site. Some of it went through the grease trap, there was the kitchen waste, and they have a 2,000-gallon septic tank that provided very minimal treatment, so you had fairly elevated contaminant levels in the wastewater going into the ground. As Sergio mentioned earlier, there's, for all practical purposes, no effective stormwater treatment on the site. The stormwater was directed into 2 dry wells, which would be overflowing in a matter of minutes in any kind of a serious storm. The site is located about 1,200 feet west of the Pawcatuck River, and depending on which well field you want to look at, the site is about 1,000 to 3,000 feet west-southwest of the westerly White Rock well fields. There's 3 well fields, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Site soils are a combination of some melt-out tills, Charlton and Chatfield soils, and then you have stratified drift, which is an agawam soil. The site is hydrologically down gradient from the westerly well fields. The eastern portion of the site drains northeast towards the Pawcatuck River, and the western portion of the site typically drains southwest and south away from the river. The river basin itself, the entire Pawcatuck Basin, is about 302 square miles. The substantial majority, about 250 of that, is in Rhode Island, the balance in Connecticut. This is a very substantially studied watershed. You can spend many hours, many days, going through all the various studies that have been done over the years. By my own studies, which are a compilation of a lot of previous studies, this watershed, the average daily base flow is about 1.1 million gallons per day per square mile of watershed. And the lower Pawcatuck Basin, which is what we're more concerned about, the average base flow is about 107 million gallons per day, and that's at westerly. The Rhode Island DEM did a substantial study. It took them about 15 years to do it. When they got done around 2010, they had calculated for withdrawal purposes, using the what they call the 7Q10 flow of the basin and the river, that there was about 58 million gallons a day of recharge at the 7Q10. That's the 7-day low flow that occurs once in 10 years. Applying a 0.3 multiplier to that for the based upon the river classification, that equates to about 17 million gallons a day available during this low flow period, which is a 3-month period, July through September every year. The westerly water system, their water supply system management plan, the latest update was 2021. They used a 7Q10 of 14.56 million gallons a day for September, comparing that to about 61 million gallons a day in June. That was the maximum month relative to low flow occurrence. The site is really in the well fields are served from the Ashaway, Westerly, and Bradford subbasin aquifers. It's about 47 square miles, so it's a fraction of the overall aquifer. It actually has a higher average base flow recharge, about 1.27 million gallons per square mile. And the aquifer yield was, the minimum yield range was about 6 to 9 million gallons a day, and that's presented in the, as I said, their water supply system management plan. Currently, their average daily demand is about 3.68 million gallons a day, and their maximum day demand on a given year is about 6.9 million gallons. They did a 20-year projection in their water supply system management plan, and maximum, that demonstrates slight increases 20 years out, an average daily demand of about 3.83 million gallons a day, and a maximum day of about 7.2. The conclusion in their water supply system management plan was that from a review of the information presented in the plan, the Westerly water system supplies will remain adequate to meet existing and future demands for the 5 and 20-year planning horizons. So that's just the background here. This development, it's proposed 83 three-bedroom residential units. The average daily demand I projected out to be about 19,000 gallons a day, with a maximum day of about 28,600 gallons a day. And 100% of that of the wastewater generated on site, by the way, would be discharged to the municipal sewer. That's been presented previously. And of course, the municipal wastewater treatment facility. Ultimately, that treated wastewater ends up back in the watershed because it's discharged to the surface water. Stormwater, that's been already discussed. I'll just touch on a few highlights here. The state of Connecticut has required removals, certainly for suspended solids, phosphorus, and nitrogen, and the town engineer provided some additional requirements for the groundwater protection overlay district as far as percent removals. And what this system is achieving, based upon the design, is that it will achieve greater than 96% removal of suspended solids, greater than 62% removal of total phosphorus, greater than 70% removal of total nitrogen, just under 89% removal of zinc, and 97.1% removal of total petroleum hydrocarbon. All of these meet or significantly exceed both the state requirements of the Connecticut DEP and the requirements that the town presented through their town engineer. So as I said, that meets or exceeds all the GPOD requirements. Additionally, this project will have no hazardous waste. There's no wastewater disposal. There's no bulk material or solid waste storage on the site, and there's a pesticide management plan as far as maintenance of grassed and landscaped areas. My summary and conclusions was that in its present condition, this site, the use of on-site wastewater disposal and completely inadequate stormwater treatment does not meet the GPOD criteria and represents a potentially significant contaminant threat to the underlying stratified drift aquifer. What's been proposed for this project, 100% elimination of sanitary wastewater disposal on site and substantial stormwater treatment, as has been presented, is a tremendous improvement, and which, in conclusion, I believe is a massive improvement and protective of the groundwater protection overlay district, and in fact meets both the intent and the letter of the zoning regulations. Section 9.1.6 for conditional uses regarding multifamily residences with high density allows that if it's connected to a public sewer and if the use is demonstrated to comply with the performance standards in these regulations, I believe it is. And relative to section 9.1.9, which is performance and design standards, it's the design will prevent potential contamination of groundwater supplies by prohibiting or controlling high-risk activities, preventing direct and accidental releases of hazardous materials, and providing for inspection and emergency response. I believe the proposed site development and design, particularly of both the wastewater and stormwater, do that, so it meets those criteria. The development is at the very western edge of the groundwater protection overlay district. It's more than 1,000 feet from the west bank of the Pawcatuck River, which, by the way, is the opposite bank from where the White Rock well fields are. They're further to the north on the east bank. And this will, as I said, result in substantial reduction of risk. Matt has already stolen my thunder. I was ready to lay out for you the response of the Westerly Water Department, but...
Go ahead.
Okay. The Westerly Water Department's consultant has reviewed the proposed drainage plans and the evaluation of potential impacts report, that's the subject report that I prepared, for the reference property, and confirms that there are no concerns with this project as they would relate to aquifer protection. And that was issued by Massimo Max Sposato, the Director of Utilities. If anyone's got a question, I'll do my best to answer it.
Couple. We've talked about maintenance, you know, protecting the continued ability of the treatment systems to work. Should there be any monitoring systems in the system that allow for grab samples of water at various stages of treatment to determine its continued effectiveness?
Well, depending on the stormwater design, it might be possible to do some level of periodic water quality monitoring, whether it was a defined program or a more casual program. I would defer unquestionably to the stormwater experts here. By the way, I don't present myself as an expert on stormwater, although I do work with stormwater quite a bit. Monitoring, depending on the design of the system, it is possible to do some level of monitoring. It wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Also, and that can be written, by the way, into this proposed development. I'll use the phrase homeowner association is going to be there's going to be a management entity, and they have to have contracts with the appropriate vendors to perform operation and maintenance of not just this system, but other systems on site, and that could be potentially written into a contract. Relative to wastewater, that's more a function, I think, of maintaining the system in good repair, because most of it obviously is going to be buried in the ground, won't be able to see it very easily. You know, it's a little harder to do monitoring there unless someone says we want to take periodic samples of the wastewater, but if it's going into the sewer, it's already been removed from the site. So,
Oh, sorry, please.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, maybe we could also, if you would like, have Tom Ballestero weigh in on the sampling. And I would just point out, in your groundwater protection regs, the commission has the authority to require, you know, inspection, maintenance, and reports.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. So maybe
so a monitoring system to determine, you know, the effectiveness. You know, it's designed to perform in a particular way. You expect it's going to perform in a particular way, but is it performing in a particular way? You know, a monitoring and sampling program would provide assurances.
yeah, I think, and Tom Ballestero may be able to offer some insight. I believe, having developed these, I'm going to guess he's going to suggest, you know, after it gets set up, there's a period, and then once it reaches performance, maybe less monitoring. But why don't we, Tom, if you're still on, if you'd like to reply to the chairman's question.
Sure. You can certainly monitor systems. What you first have to do is define the objective. So if the objective is as simple as, is the water quality entering the ground meeting some standards, then all you really have to do is take some samples from the effluent, which is pretty easy to do. If you want to know how much pollutants are entering and leaving the systems, that's a different question. And no matter which way you go, monitoring's not for the faint-hearted. You know, you set things up, and the best monitoring is having someone living right by the system and sampling throughout the storm. Taking a step back from that, there are automatic samplers you can set up, and there are also some inline strategies that can read certain chemicals real time. But the cost goes up as you move from one level to the next. but not uncommonly for proof that systems are doing what they were purported to do, it's not uncommon to ask for anywhere from 3 up to a dozen different storms be sampled and just show what the results are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And Mr. Chairman, yeah, that would be, obviously something the commission could ask, and as well as the engineers could discuss an appropriate plan. Are there more questions for Mr. Ferrari?
Any questions from the commission?
I have a strange question. We always hear everything's gonna work, everything's great, and whatever, that Mike Tyson thing, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, whatever. What, if something could go wrong, what do you think could go wrong here? Like, I'm just curious, so do you see nothing can go, but everything's gonna be great, and
Well, I'm going to give you a multi-part answer. Number one, if anyone suggests to you that nothing can go wrong, they're either an idiot or a fool. I'll start with that. So what can we add to that now? Well, as Tom just said, it's possible relative to the stormwater piece, again, depending on the specifics of the design of the stormwater system, there's levels of monitoring you can do. Stormwater has some very unique sampling methodologies to use. You have to look at perhaps instantaneous concentration, say on the, I'll call it the first flush versus the sustained discharge. Also, there's some unique ways of having to monitor volume. If you're saying we want to know what's the mass of materials potentially going into the ground. Relative to the aquifer, the underlying aquifer, and is it being impacted, that would more likely require monitoring wells, okay? And part of the pattern of wells, you can monitor groundwater gradients and then monitor groundwater quality, okay? I don't believe that there's a significant threat here. If there was, number one, I would have said so. Number two, I'm sure Westerly's consultant would have said so, but it's not to say that you still shouldn't monitor. Caution is always recommended in these situations. By the way, my firm runs about 100 public water systems, including quite a few decent-sized systems. Not quite Westerly size, but not that far off from it, and we're always concerned about aquifer protection. Okay, it's a big issue. But a monitoring program could be developed and implemented to assess both groundwater gradients and potential influence of, is the groundwater under this site, is it being drawn towards the well fields or not? Okay, and if so, is there any impact on water quality? All these things are potentially doable. It's a question of what the pleasure is going to be of the Planning Commission and the town.
thank you.
And I think it's important to add, these are the typical industry standards that you apply to other applications. There aren't different rules that apply in this case, that things that don't fail elsewhere are more likely to fail here. So for example, connecting to the sewer system is a public sewer. The idea that something would go wrong there, nobody's going to tell you it never goes wrong anywhere, but that sewer system already exists, and you permit other uses. So there's no indication that things would go wrong more likely here when you follow the same industry standards than they would anywhere else. As to the stormwater part of that, maybe Bob, maybe we could ask Tom if he also wants to weigh in about the the sort of resiliency of the stormwater system design to address the question of what could go wrong.
Sure. And I will give you just an intro that we built a field site up here in 2002, 2003, where we had 13 different types of stormwater management strategies. And we monitored them for 5 to 7 years. And some of the systems were in continued use for almost 2 decades. One was the subsurface gravel wetland, another was a detention pond. And 2 summers ago, we systematically tore them apart to see how they function, where the contaminants were being stored, or if the contaminants were being destroyed, etc. So I think the fundamental question was, how can these things fail? One potential is lack of maintenance, more on the manufactured systems. I was just up in Holderness, New Hampshire on Route 3, and there was a DOT site that they had one of these separators that hadn't been given maintenance in 6 years, and it was just filled to the top with sediment. Easy to fix, but I think DOT just forgot it was there. After that, the forebay into the subsurface gravel wetland. You know, we've had systems in line and undersized, that is, much more watershed was going to them. And we see sediment start to build up. After 7 or 8 years, we saw about 4 inches high over a 10-foot by 10-foot area. So that's not an incredible failure, but quote unquote, you don't have as much water that can be held in the forebay anymore. All of these can be taken care of by inspection and maintenance, of course. Going on to the subsurface gravel wetland, honestly, it thrives on neglect. The outlet is buried, so it never freezes, and because only clean water goes through it, nothing's going to clog it. The inlet is, to the subsurface gravel wetland is protected by the forebay, so it traps all the litter, the large sediment, the shopping carts, the bicycles, trash bags. That's what would, maybe cause problems in the system itself. The easiest way to inspect a system like the subsurface gravel wetland or the infiltration basin for that matter is just to go out there after it rains. They should drain within 24 hours, sometimes up to 72 hours if that's the design. And if they're not draining, then they need attention, they need maintenance. The subsurface gravel wetlands, and we've built dozens, none of them have had problems. I take that back. 2 had problems, and the 2 that had problems had a base flow going into them all the time. And so when the stormwater came, it just bypassed. And so once that base flow, for example, what happened was they had reset all of the storm sewers lower, and now they were picking up a lot of groundwater in the storm sewer, and that was going right into the subsurface gravel wetland in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So what they did was just create a little weir that would divert all the base flow, and once the stormwater started, the first stormwater would then go right into the subsurface gravel wetland. And then lastly, for the infiltration system, again, what could go wrong? Could stop infiltrating. I haven't seen that happen in systems that have grass, and the grass is mowed just a few times a year. And the reason for that is that the grass roots penetrate, die, and regrow every year, and they maintain the high permeability. But it's possible that you could get enough sediments over maybe a decade, very fine sediments starting to clog the floor. But again, what you would see is that the system doesn't drain anymore, and the maintenance in that case would be remove that sediment that's been trapped there and just replant whatever vegetation you're growing there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
More questions for Bob, or?
Any additional questions from the commission on either aquifer protection or stormwater management or maintenance?
I do have one question, just, and maybe I haven't seen it. Have you drafted a maintenance plan for this particular system that you've designed?
Yeah, it's something.
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
Okay.
So here you are.
And then the question I had, because you mentioned it here about who would actually be responsible for following that maintenance plan or getting the contractors. You mentioned the homeowners association?
No, it's the owner.
Okay.
To avoid any confusion, as we said at the last hearing, it's going to be owned and rented, so there is no homeowners association.
Okay, all right.
We own the whole, I'm sorry, owned and rented, my grammar's not great. it's going to be owned by someone's going to own the whole development, and they will rent it. So there will be one entity to look to for responsibility.
And that will be the owner.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may continue?
Please.
So I will just say sort of, pulling some of this together, again, there is a lot of expert testimony that this system is both well-designed, well-suited for the site, fully protective of the aquifer, exceeds all the removal criteria for both the state of Connecticut guidelines and the University of New Hampshire guidance, which of course aren't regulatory, but they come up quite a bit. It also reduces the peak volumes and the total runoff for every storm event from the 2-year storm, well actually it's from the water quality volume, which is less than the 2-year storm, through the 2-year storm and the 100-year storm by between 8 and I believe it's 90% for the water quality. The water quality, that's not, yeah. It's in the stormwater report for the water quality volume storm, which is less than a 2-year storm. So in other words, meets all the criteria, and many of those criteria aren't even in your regs, but we meet and exceed them. The other thing is, I would just remind the Commission that it is, as a policy-making group, already looked at some of these issues, and they're conceptually contained in your overlay district, groundwater protection area. And what I mean by that is, and Tom alluded to it when he said he's more worried about sites that are commercial and industrial. So if you look at the structure of your regs, you've identified uses that aren't allowed. And those uses include things like dealerships, industrial sites, gasoline, motor service yards. These are the types of things that Mr. Ballesteros was referring to. And this mirrors, frankly, what you've done mirrors what the state has done for aquifer protection, because these are considered high risk. On the other hand, you've also listed uses that are allowed, which include multifamily residents, because they have generally a different profile or characteristic. So in 9.1.6 conditional uses, one of the uses that's conditionally allowed, and what we're here with, are multifamily residences. And in your regs, you specifically require for those conditional uses that they be connected to public sewers, which is precisely what we're proposing here. So just again, some of this I know is the context of our application, but some of it is also stuff that this commission and its prior members have thought through and built in those policies into these regs. And in addition, you have in these regulations also, as I mentioned earlier, inspection and enforcement rights that are more robust than they are in other parts of town. And so again, there's, to the chairman's question about how do we make sure that even if it's designed right, that it continues to operate correctly, and that authority is given to you or detailed in your own regulations. And again, our goal is compliance. We've designed it for compliance, and we want you to have confidence. And if there is monitoring that's obviously reasonable, because it can get terribly expensive, then that makes sense. And we're happy to present that as part of a maintenance plan or accept it as a condition of approval. The last thing I'd like to address, one of the last things I addressed substantively is in the prior hearing and prior application, this court case has come up and been mentioned several times by members of the public. It's a Fairfield 2000 Homes Corp. Versus Newtown Planning and Zoning, and it's sort of been mentioned for the proposition that the court said it's okay to deny affordable housing if you're protecting the public drinking water supply. And I would say, that, and I'm paraphrasing myself, but I think that general paraphrasing, it really oversimplifies this case. So at the last hearing, we said we would address it for you. So just quickly, so this case is a 1999 case. It's a relatively old case. It's not been cited. I think it's been cited one other time. But in that case, the developer in that case sought approval for 96 single-family detached homes. And at the time, they only needed 24 units of affordable housing because prior to 2000, the percentage of affordable housing was 25%, not 30% like it is today. And it was located in the town of Newtown in an area that was the town's sole source aquifer, so very similar. And the issue there was almost, is very distinguished from here. In many ways, it's almost the opposite of what's going on here. In that case, the town had, in its regulations, like I just referred to yours, had said something totally different. It said you can't have connection to the public sewer in the aquifer. They had actually adopted a sewer avoidance area, and then they had amended that sewer avoidance area to further prohibit what are called package treatment systems or mechanical treatment systems, which are essentially, if you're building a larger development in an area that doesn't have public sewers, you can have a system which is really a large glorified private septic system, which works on gravity and flows just like your septic system at home. Or you can have these package treatment facilities that are more mechanical. They have pumps, they actually treat the water, and you do that usually when the carrying capacity of the land isn't adequate, or you're trying to meet certain standards that a normal septic system wouldn't meet. So in this case, the applicant was proposing a packaged mechanical treatment system, and the town had prohibited those in their sewer avoidance area, which is where the property was located. So the Planning and Zoning Commission in that case denied the application because based on testimony in the record, they really weren't concerned about whether or not that sewage treatment system would perform as designed, like if it actually was up and running, the removal pollutants. There was no expert testimony that contradicted that the pollutant removal would be good. But what there was a question of, it was a two-part question, what if there were a mechanical failure of the treatment system for the sewage? And if that were the case, what was the financial ability, because these systems are very expensive, these packaged treatment systems, be the financial backstop for it. And what the commission, and there was no testimony from the applicant about that, but there was testimony that in Newtown's case, the WPCA refused to sign on that it would be the financial backstop. So when you have these systems, in addition to getting them approved by the Department of Environmental Protection at the time, you also had to get the town, either Sewer Commission or WPCA, to also assure the Department of Environmental Protection that if there were a failure and the owner didn't respond, that the town would. And this is because people need septic to live in their houses. And if it was a commercial building, you could shut it down. But in a house, people have to live there. So anyway, the Newtown WPCA was not willing to do that. And so that was the only testimony in the record. And so the court looked at that and they said that there was no adequate response from the applicant. There was no evidence contradicting that expert testimony. So the commission had uncontradicted expert testimony, which, as we know, commissions can't ignore. And so the court said, yes, protecting public drinking water is always a significant interest to the commission, and we've said that all along. That's the first part of the test for affordable housing. Is there a significant public interest? But then in evaluating the risk to that interest, and the court then said, well, but there's no countervailing expert testimony that the risk has been addressed. And in this case, this was in the early years of the 830G. There really was no discussion by the court or anyone else about reasonable changes. And the court noted that, but anyway, it didn't alter its decision. And it upheld the denial based on that risk of mechanical failure and the lack of any backstop. This application, as I said, is distinguished almost the opposite. In this case, the proposed development will be connected to public sewers and not a private or mechanical system. So we are taking sewage, which is now, as of right, under the prior and existing use, going through a septic system, and we're putting it into an existing public sewage system, which then removes it from the aquifer protection area and treats it outside the aquifer protection area. So again, quite the opposite of Fairfield 2000. And there is no mechanical treatment system on site to fail, and the treatment actually occurs off-site. And in this case, the WPC, the sewer WPCA is responsible for that off-site system, just like it is for the rest of the town. So none of the questions that existed in Fairfield 2000 exist here, and not only that, the circumstances show that rather than introducing more pollutants, like would be the case in Fairfield 2000, the really uncontradicted expert testimony in this case, and no one has said to the contrary, we're reducing the sewage effluent because that would be infiltrated in the aquifer protection area because we're transporting it all out. So again, this case is not on point at all. And again, similarly in Fairfield 2000, or dissimilarly, they had come up with a policy not to allow sewers, and in Stonington you have the opposite. If you're going to do one of these uses, you have to connect to the sewer, probably for the very reason that you want this sewage transported out of the aquifer protection area. So again, clear difference between the two cases. And in Fairfield 2000, the regulations specifically did not allow the use that was being proposed, mechanical systems, and in this case, the multifamily use and the sewer connection are specifically allowed. And again, as I've said, there's no mechanical failure to occur in the sewer system here, as there was in Fairfield 2000. And again, in Fairfield 2000, the only expert testimony in the record was regarding this possibility of mechanical failure of the system. And here you have multiple experts testifying that the sewage treatment aspect of the application will be an improvement, and I don't believe that anywhere in the record is there expert testimony to the contrary. So it's simply a case that exists, but it really has no, the holding is not applicable to the circumstances here. And you can obviously and should consult with your own town attorney about these distinctions, but I think he will agree that the facts are so dissimilar that the case is not of any real precedential value. I would just say as a corollary to that, with regard, because that case was about sewage flow, but we've also had a lot of discussion about stormwater. But again, in this case, all the same dissimilarities apply. Under current condition, you have expert testimony, really uncontradicted, that there is, under existing conditions and allowed as of right for the current use, untreated stormwater runoff off the site. So all the constituents that we told you we have reduction in pollutant values for and hit the targets, the existing hit system, the existing stormwater treatment or lack of it hits none of them. There is simply no treatment, just dry wells to collect the water. So again, you don't have more pollutants being introduced, but you do have more pollutants being removed by virtue of the treatment train that we've proposed. You have no fewer than 3 experts and the Westerly Water Company, who's responsible for providing safe drinking water, telling you that these results are both an improvement and don't present concerns for the aquifer protection, and that they meet the stormwater quality guidance and town standards. So again, I apologize for being a little long-winded, but I wanted to distinguish that case, and I'm happy to provide a copy of the case for the record if you'd like it.
Certainly.
For the record, exhibit number 12.
And again, I encourage you to consult with the town attorney if you so desire. You don't have to take my word for it, obviously. Mr. Chairman, that I think brings us to near the end of our presentation, but as you indicated in the email from the town engineer, while they were supportive of the changes we have made, they're awaiting final drawings and the technical documents that accompany them. And so our preference is to hold the hearing open until your next public hearing on the 18th, so that we can make sure that the town engineers have all of those drawings and they can confirm their conclusion. So if the commission's willing to do that, what we'd like to do is not, close. In other words, we have some closing remarks we'd like to make, but we prefer not to do that now and just keep that for when we're ready to finally close. If that's acceptable.
Requesting an extension, I think
Yes.
is what they need,
I think we need to know that we have the time with their permission.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I have a letter here granting an extension through November 18th.
Prepare.
Thank
Thank you.
So it doesn't need to make a motion for that, or do we need public comment, I guess? Where we go?
Yeah, I think that, does that require a motion or just a
I'm
request?
sorry, what was I didn't hear.
Does it require a motion from the
To
commission?
continue the application?
Well, I think we can continue it at the conclusion, but that would normally take place after the public's had an opportunity to comment.
I don't think it matters one way or the other, but do you want the public to speak at this point when a lot of their questions might be answered on the 18th?
I think the public has shown up tonight and signed up to speak,
There
and
you go.
they should be given an opportunity to speak. I'm going to ask that in view of the hour, in view of the fact that, we have other applications to hear tonight, that for those who have perhaps spoken previously, you can speak tonight if you have, we can speak tonight regardless, but I would ask that you, use discretion in making your comments and provide us with any new information that you have, and not necessarily repeat comments that you had made previously. So, do we have a sign-up sheet for,
It's on the table. Sign up when they come up to speak.
if we could just have the sign-up sheet, and we'll move to public comment, and there will be a motion to continue. So if you don't speak tonight, you will have an opportunity to speak again in our next scheduled meeting, which is
November 18th, I believe.
November 18th, Kenny?
Yes.
November 18th.
And
I apologize for the late hour, but
please check
That's
the
the way these-
venue as to where the meeting might be. It might be at the Mystic Middle School. We're not sure yet, so just keep that in mind.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, for the next evening, obviously it's the commission's discretion, but my suggestion is if we're going to take public comment, which is fine and appropriate, I would ask maybe when we start the next hearing, the public could go first, and then we could close.
I'll see if we can do that. It might be a good suggestion and a courtesy to the public where they don't have to wait all night to make comments. So if I could just have the sign-up sheet?
Oh, there's no sign on it. They're going to sign up.
No names on it?
No.
Okay, then I will ask, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to make a comment for or against, or just a general comment on this application? Yes, Deb? Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you for being so patient.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll sign down here. Need my address. this without making feedback. Thank you. My name is Deborah Monica Downey, Backacres Way, Stonington. I have previously submitted written comments in September and October, and like my last comments, I'm providing this opinion not as a select woman, but as a hydrogeologist and licensed environmental professional with over 35 years experience evaluating and remediating contaminated groundwater. I usually get called in when things do go wrong. So that's kind of where I come from. So this development, as we've talked, is in a sensitive portion of the sole source aquifer. And Westerly Water has submitted a letter saying they have no concerns regarding aquifer protection for this development, but I'm not reassured by that letter because in discussions I've had with Connecticut DEEP and the Connecticut Department of Health, they've shared that they have significant concerns with Westerly Water's past stewardship of the sole source aquifer in Connecticut. They've advised the town to strengthen our aquifer protection and zoning regulations to help protect the aquifer based on historic loss of aquifer area, increased impervious surface, and historic contamination that's occurred in the aquifer under their watch. This development will increase the impervious area of this site from about 10% to at least 80%. The Pawcatuck Westerly area already has the highest percentage of impervious cover in the entire sole source aquifer watershed. This site will be covered with buildings and pavement, including additional walkways which the police have requested in between those narrow alleyways between the buildings. The limited grassy areas are underlain by subsurface utilities, and even the gravel wetland has an impervious liner, which is required to adjust for the undersized acreage, permeable soil, and the depth of the water table. At 80% impervious, this site is not appropriate in a watershed protection area, and continued paving of this aquifer will decrease groundwater quality and quantity. The proposed gravel wetland stormwater treatment is certainly an improvement over the previous design, and I appreciate all the work they've put into it. But it is a complex system that will, as people have said, require monitoring and maintenance to function properly. There is a generic operation and maintenance plan in the proposal, but it needs to be more detailed and include discussion on the maintenance of the wetland vegetation and other things. I'm not going to repeat everything he said. I agree that at a minimum, maintenance requires the cutting and removal of the cut vegetation from the wetland every 3 growing seasons so you don't increase the nitrogen instead of decreasing it. If this vegetation is not maintained properly or allowed to grow dormant and die, the system will not function and stormwater is designed, and untreated contaminated water will enter the aquifer. The proposed developments in an area classified by Connecticut DEP as a GAA groundwater area, regulated for use as a public water supply. Connecticut regulations require that discharges in GAA areas meet drinking water criteria, and most require a permit. A minimum of semi-annual groundwater or effluent monitoring is usually required to document effectiveness of the treatment, trust but verify, and confirm that the discharge does actually meet water quality standards, drinking water quality standards. I was really happy to hear that they've changed and the system is not going to be the responsibility of the homeowners association, because we've had bad experience with catastrophic failures in our town where unmaintained systems have contaminated water. But I still would recommend, I'm concerned because of the maintenance and monitoring that is required, that you consider some kind of a bond requirement to cover costs. The town doesn't want to be saddled with these costs to repair a system, to maintain, to monitor a system. Further, documentation of inspections, maintenance, and monitoring should be submitted to the town, to show that it's actually being done. And I would also recommend a contingency plan in the event there is a catastrophic failure, say the liner is perforated or another failure somewhere in the system. The treatment system, if properly constructed and maintained, will treat water for nitrogen and a number of contaminants as discussed previously. However, de-icing salts, which are water soluble, will not be treated by the system and will directly enter the aquifer. The expansive concrete walkways and the pavement, including those narrow walkways between the buildings, will become icy. Discharge from basement sump pumps could also freeze. The town engineer identified areas where the configuration of catch basins is expected to exacerbate icing. The developer's response was that icing will be addressed via standard de-icing practices. But residents will buy and use bags of rock salt and similar commercial products so they can safely exit, drive, and walk around the nearly 100% paved complex without breaking their neck. Stipulations requiring the use of de-icing products are not realistic or enforceable. The annual introduction of de-icing salts from this overly dense development will degrade aquifer quality. You need to mitigate this by increasing green space or doing something else to help mitigate the effects of de-icing salts. Finally, I'm not opposed to development of the site, just this development as designed. This project is too dense. It's more appropriate for Bridgeport than Pawcatuck. Fire trucks will have to go up on curbs to negotiate turns. That's assuming there's no parked vehicles in the way. Trash pickup will take hours and block the driveways. Non-continuous dead-end sidewalks mean people will have to walk along a dangerous section of Liberty Street. And I know it was mentioned briefly, but it's not shown on the plan. I question whether the left-hand bypass lanes requested by Connecticut DOT in their September 30th letter will further squeeze this dense site and possibly result in the loss of an already undersized lawn area. Construction in the public water aquifer recharge area requires thoughtful design. As our land use board, you're stewards of this important aquifer and are tasked with public safety and protection of the water supply. The Pawcatuck aquifer has already been reduced by past contamination and saltwater intrusion, and impervious percentages in this watershed have grown unchecked. This design certainly exceeds a desirable impervious percentage. And this treatment system will require ongoing professional inspection, maintenance, and monitoring to ensure that stormwater is adequately treated. And are we willing to gamble that this system will be maintained and repaired as required for years? System failure or malfunction will contaminate the aquifer, and there is no backup supply of clean water. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Can we have a copy of your,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is it October 21st?
No, this is, it says it today, I can let you, as he talked, I was making changes, so.
Anyone else who would like to speak this evening? Just state your name and address for the record. Thank you. Again, we would like copies of your written statement, and if you could paraphrase in the interest of time for those who would like to speak as well. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Allie Girallo, and I live at 23 Russell. I'm gonna, even though I'm still very concerned about our aquifer, I'm going to use your advice and kind of step over that. But I also want to talk about, and Ms. Debbie Downey actually mentioned it, the letter from Max Pizzato. I find it very interesting that it says a consultant. We don't have the name of the consultant. We don't know when the consultant reviewed this, and we don't have any reports from the consultant. Anybody in this room could be the consultant. There are additional safety issues that I urge the commission to evaluate. We need additional sidewalks within the community. 30 units do not have a sidewalk in the front or in the back of their apartment. 44 units only have a sidewalk connected to the backyard. I don't know too many people who leave their home from the back patio. So that leaves 9 units with access to a front sidewalk. This is a safety problem. The Stonington police say this is a safety concern. Imagine a child going to grab the bus. I know we have the sketches here. If they are in units 1 through 16, and I just picked the large one over across from police, units 1 through 16, for example, a kid would need to walk in the street past an entire row of units, actually 16 units, then cross over the egress and hope that cars making the left turn on the ingress sees them and are going slow enough as they turn on the short driveway. Then the child must go through the entire parking lot. Meanwhile, at this time, the residents would be maneuvering their vehicles as it would be time for work and school. I hope there isn't any trash trucks at this time or snow that might impede them from walking in that area. Finally, the child gets to their bus stop that is positioned on a road where Connecticut Department of Transportation has said cars go 52 miles per hour on. This is incredibly dangerous. The development needs more sidewalks in order for the residents to safely move around. It also needs lighting within the community, so during those early mornings, a child can be seen walking. I ask that you require a lighted sidewalk, crosswalk over Liberty, as asked by the Stonington Police. This is an incredibly dark area, and it is nearly impossible to see a pedestrian as is. I also ask the Commission to require additional sidewalks on the outside of the community. The first sidewalk doesn't even connect to the bus stop. On this diagram here, you can see that the one side, the first drive, the sidewalk doesn't even connect into where the bus stop is. So it would require the kids to go through the parking lot. Through the planning and zoning workshops, the community had asked our end of the Pawcatuck to be connected through sidewalks to the downtown area. I ask that you require sidewalks to the entire length of the property. If this goes against the rules, I ask that you ensure that there's enough room on the property when away from the gravel wetland so that sidewalks can be safely built, and enough distance from the wetland where the salt does not have a negative impact on it. The Connecticut Department of Transportation has stated in their letter that a 575-foot of sightline is needed from both drives. With that being said, the bus stop that they're proposing will be at the sightline with regards to how far back it is and the height. Connecticut Department of Transportation did not mention the bus stop because the bus stop at that time came after their letter. I ask that a safe bus stop is created for students. It is unsafe for buses to enter and exit the community, as the developer has mentioned to us before. We need to make sure that a bus stop is provided where the students have a safe, free from snow location to stand and wait for the bus. Another concern that Connecticut Department of Transportation addressed in their letter was the requirement for a left turn bypass, as the 85% speed is 52 miles per hour. Traffic must be able to flow on Liberty safely, and left lane bypass is needed. I just can't figure out for the life of me how this will be constructed on such a narrow road. There is no room on the other side of this property. My last safety concern, and one that I asked the Commission to consider, is requiring the tallest allowable solid fence for around the gravel wetland. Children love water. Children love hilly terrain. I think every parent can relate to a time where they said to their own children not to go near a puddle. And when looking away for a split second, the child does exactly that. This is going to be a magnet for children to play. A chain-link fence will not be enough, as this will be easy to climb. I ask for the fence to be given enough space inside so that the person or machinery can move around inside to maintain and mow the areas required. I also have to mention, I appreciate that they added some green space, but to add space for children to play behind 18 trash bins and behind someone's backyard, we're going to have problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have that, please?
Yeah, we ask that you submit your written statement. You say you bypassed some of your remarks. We'd like to see all of your remarks.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to ask everybody who speaks from this point forward, if you have a written statement, please, we will carefully look at your statements. But we ask that you try to paraphrase them in the interest of time. We have other applications to hear this evening. We do want your comments, but we ask that you try to paraphrase. Next speaker would like to speak. Yes, sir. Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Tom Giraldo, and I live at 23 Russell, Pawcatuck as well. I will try to keep my comments brief and to the point here. I've submitted a number of written materials to you. I will probably submit more. The Fairfield 2000 decision was referenced by counsel. I reiterate to you that the importance of that case is the legal standard. The facts are immaterial, going through a lengthy recitation that doesn't matter. Protection of the aquifer matters, and it's a legal standard you can abide by in making your decision. That's the most important part. Something that was not referenced tonight, and I still think really matters as an issue of safety, is you cannot waive the school impact study, and you cannot let that happen after the fact. That is an issue I think the Commission needs to know about. The middle school is bursting. Everyone in this room knows that. This is going to be marketed to families with children. It's going to be #1 item on any real estate listing or rental listing is, come to our great school district, please join. And rightfully so. Not knowing what's going to happen in the school that is already maxed out in terms of population matters, and I think presents safety issues that you should consider. I want to make sure we're addressing the Liberty Street part really clearly. 19-foot left turn bypass, crosswalk, 19-foot left turn bypass in sequence. I know everyone in this room has driven in downtown Westerly and Pawcatuck. People can't handle the crosswalks at 10 miles an hour. Multiply that by 5 right now with 2 left-hand turn lanes going through there. That's a disastrous design. And so, there's case law for that too. In Stefanoni versus the Planning and Zoning Commission, the court concluded on the record that the commission has demonstrated that with regard to traffic concerns, the public interest clearly outweighs the need for affordable housing. Judgment and experience must be applied in each instance, and an administrative agency, such as the defendant, may act upon its own knowledge and observation as well as the evidence presented to it at the hearing. I ask you to think very long and hard about what the DOT has said for this. I thought it was breezed over tonight, and I think that's strange, but maybe it's also telling. Consider that because it matters. The hydraulic modeling has come up several times tonight, the Westerly letter as well. I can't figure out who that consultant is that is being referred to. Maybe it's the 2023 letter from the engineer design firm. If that's right, because I don't know, that letter is stale. A couple of problems with it. It doesn't consider the current projects that are now there on Voluntown Road that may affect the volume of the water. Secondarily, it says that it was founded on, their conclusions were done on the assumption that this wasn't going to be a sprinklered property. There was conversation about sprinklers earlier tonight, and I'm not sure exactly where that stands. This project is too dense. Every time you turn around and move something, the density reveals itself in another way. Whatever change gets made, maybe there's some improvement to the water, but now there's a problem with traffic. The last thing I'd like to be able to say to you is the town engineer has tasked the applicant with fixing runoff from the roofs that are going to run onto an adjacent private property. That problem clearly can't be solved. That runoff issue needs to be continuously evaluated over in the safety of the aquifer. The density of this project always creates a problem that's not going to change. All of these are safety issues on top of the aquifer safety issues that have been mentioned continuously throughout this. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Would you mind signing our sheet there, and
Can I have a copy
if we could have
of
a
that?
copy of your written statement?
I made it up as I went along.
Okay, if that's your claim.
Yep.
Counselor? Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Amy Mish. I live at 195 Liberty Street, the property directly to the south of this. I just took notes throughout the evening, so I apologize for not having a written statement. My first concern is the water discharge. I recall them saying that we hope to keep it all on site, but what happens when it doesn't stay on site? Because this is what my property looks like when we have a heavy rain. It already gets a river through it, so we really can't handle extra water over there. And then my other question, I know back when this first had a meeting or whatever, I didn't make it to the last one, but one before that, it was said that a traffic study was done, but I know it was done in June, and I had asked at that time if there was one done during the school year with the buses and the morning traffic to West Vine, because it is a mess there in the morning. The way the cars have to pull into West Vine, it's just a complete mess there. So that's a huge concern. The buses arrive at 6:45 in the morning, and now, thanks to this time of year, it is extremely dark. Seeing children is extremely difficult, so another safety concern. And they stop in the morning on the other side of the street. So the children that are getting picked up from this development will have to cross the street. They will not stop on the other side in the morning. We've already asked. And my last concern is, can the town sewer system handle this? I asked that because a couple years ago we had sewage backing up into our house. come to find out, it was a pipe in the road that was sagging. So can it handle this number
There is a
of-
separate WPCA that has authority over that, and I know they're reviewing this.
Okay, I just hadn't heard anything, so I'm like, this is,
We'll pass your concerns along to them.
and that's it for me.
Thank you.
Can I have that picture, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Next person to speak, please. Evening.
My name is Jeannie Cardoza, and I live at 140 Liberty Street, and I run Messy Moments Childcare, and the bus stop comes to my driveway. And my biggest concern for all this is I watch buses pick up the West Vine Street kids all the time, and my zone is 25 miles an hour, where they don't stop for that stop sign that comes out of the bus. The bus driver is constantly blasting that horn as these cars fly by, and we're in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. So my biggest concern is the speed limit, where this is going to be, and the safety of the children.
Thank you.
Did you sign in? And what was your name again? I'm sorry.
Jeannie Cardoza.
Next speaker, please. Jen, if you have a written statement, if you can paraphrase,
I
please.
don't. This is just your agenda
Okay.
and my notes that I cut
I believe
through.
you.
Yeah. I could
The
tell.
brief part would be
I want to say
appreciated. though.
thank you for asking what could go wrong, because I think things could go wrong. And I think it's also very interesting that the consultant said things will go wrong. So what could go wrong, things will go wrong. We're left with that idea. And this part of town was farms. It wasn't really meant for a lot of traffic in the beginning, of course, and then Liberty Street developed as it is. It's been hardened over time, piece by piece. And I was surprised at the last meeting in October to read about this Voluntown Street 3, number 3, I mean the tearing down of the medical facility and the pickleball and the tech center going in. And that is part of this also, because the hardening of this whole entire landscape is just going on. And there's no overarching plan in our town, and this is not your fault because you guys are heroes sitting here looking at this stuff. But there's no plan for how we can put housing in, perhaps in smaller ways, insert it into our neighborhoods in a kind way. I did go to the last Architectural Review Board meeting, and I know that there were some changes made, but the Architectural Review Board was aghast at the plan, basically, and doesn't like it, and, you know, basically it's a spaceship that has descended into Stonington. Their exact words were,
Just going to stop you 1 second.
okay,
We do have some impervious coverage regulations that we'd like your support for.
yeah,
They're going to be part of a package of regulations that the commission will consider for approval. And it does limit impervious coverage. So that's coming.
that's coming, that's fabulous. Thank you
Just
for
little-
thinking of that.
Little advertisement for our
Good.
things that
Yes.
are down the road.
And anyway, the Architectural Review Board meeting was pretty upset with the look of this place. So on many, many fronts, from the aquifer to the presentation, to the human use of it for the school kids, to the lack of sidewalk planning, to the change of the neighborhood, like incredibly from this old farming neighborhood and sort of working class neighborhood to this siloed type of living. I don't really think you will get grateful policemen, nurses, and teachers living in this place, by the way it looks. So I have a lot of different points that I could actually talk about here. My main point would be, yes, what could go wrong, and that something will go wrong, I suppose. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you'd sign our,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi,
Good evening.
I'm Carla McAdams for 28 Russell Ave. I just want to itemize a few various health and safety related issues. It appears that the maintenance of the, thank you, of the infiltration system will be solely left on the developer. or the HOA, whatever's established, who would be responsible for the oversight of the maintenance requirement to make sure that the infiltration system is properly maintained and contamination of the aquifer does not occur? I think it's a little bit concerning that we'd actually, as a town, want to leave that up to an owner. The infiltration system protection, currently it does not appear that there's any protection barrier around it. I would think that that would be a main concern for vehicles crashing into it, causing catastrophic damages. The asphalt driveways are critical pathways to divert the stormwater to the catch basins. Asphalt deterioration is immediate and starts the day it's installed. From the current operations and maintenance submission, page 19 of 19, sealers are not permitted. So if this is the case, because this is a critical path for the stormwater diversion, how will this critical component be maintained? If cracks and other damages are to occur to the asphalt, this will allow stormwater contaminants to enter the ground directly via the cracks and damages, which will bypass the catch basins and therefore the infiltration system and allow for possible contamination of the aquifer. The lack of an emergency action plan, if it's determined that the infiltration system is not performing as it's designed or damaged in some capacity, what are the emergency corrective actions that will be taken to minimize the contamination of it? I also want to highlight some safety issues to the related traffic and vehicular and pedestrian movements. Lack of a turn lane off of Route 2 as required by the Connecticut DOT, continued lack of sidewalks, lack of fencing and barriers around the development to prevent access to the infiltration system, vehicular lines of sight issues, lack of a lighting plan, continued snow removal limitations that will affect access to the site for emergency vehicles, obstruct line of sight, and reduce recreation area. And to finalize my comments, I have health and safety issues with the lack of the school impact study, the congregated outside storage of waste near a designated recreation center area, continued trash removal, logistical concerns, potential odor, vermin concerns, safety within the handicap accessible units with the second floor laundry locations, which would require traversing stairs to perform laundry duties, concentrated drainage flows to adjacent properties, and additional burdens to the current police and fire.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Evening, sir.
Evening. Michael Murphy, 1 Glasgow Road, Pawcatuck. I've spoken before, so I'm not going to reiterate what I have said on the record. One thing I did hear tonight is a bunch of experts that said this system as it is now is going to be updated. The system now, it's been the past 30 years, it's been from zero use to very minimal use. So the whole property has been pretty much dead for the past 30 plus years. So I just want people that don't live in the area, don't see it, but nothing has been going on. There has been no business. The business that has been very light, and it hasn't been on for very long. So that's really all I got to say. Just
Thank you,
hope
Mike.
put that in your
If you
mind.
don't mind signing our sheet here. Next speaker.
Was that general comments?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Monica Sutcliffe. I'm on 11 Rossi Avenue in Pawcatuck.
Could you speak a little closer to the mic?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have no written comments. I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff. But I do walk daily with my dog on Liberty Street. So I wanted to add to the concern about the lack of sidewalks and infrastructure because I nearly get hit every day. We have had a death, not in the last 3 years when there were traffic reports looked at, but we certainly have had a death on Liberty Street. And so I just wanted to voice those concerns that we need to look at that as, you know, the wider community. I would welcome neighbors, but I want them to be safe. And I see my neighbors walking, including children, to try to get to West Vine. And so I just wanted to see that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Just sign our sheet there. Next speaker, please. Hearing none, does the applicant require rebuttal time this evening? Or can we let that go to the next meeting?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, we have plenty to say, but we can reserve it for next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no other speakers to come before the commission this evening, I think it's appropriate to make the motion to continue the application until our next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue this application for the hearing for fair housing until the next scheduled meeting, which is November 18th.
A motion to continue to November 18th. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is continued till November 18th. As Candy had said, please check with staff and postings to make sure that you know where the next meeting will be. Thank you all for attending this evening. I apologize for the crowded room. We're trying to do something about it.
Thank you.
Can you take five?
While we're clearing out the room, can we do a bit of housekeeping and start signing these?
Yeah. I think we're entertaining a motion to for a brief adjournment. 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn this hearing for 5 minutes.
Motion to adjourn for 5 minutes. Second. Made second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Motion to reopen the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reopen this meeting.
Second.
No, I didn't.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's reopened. We have I think this is a reconvened public hearing, is it not?
No,
No, it's brand new. Just opening up.
Okay, so I can go ahead and read the report.
Reopen, yeah.
Or reopen or open?
Open.
This is
I'm sorry.
new, that's what I thought.
This is a new public
These are all
hearing, yes,
new.
sir. Yes. So read the ad if you would.
Okay. And just for clarity's sake, you do want to combine the Redco Stonington and the GBP CRT1 hearings?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I'll
for the
read them both.
record, Attorney John Casey for the applicants, we'd like to combine the public hearings into a single joint hearing.
Okay. All right, so make a motion to open the public hearing for PZ 2538ZC.
You gotta read the,
Oh, read the whole thing, okay.
just what's in bold letters.
So,
And then a motion to open.
okay. First is PZ 2538ZC, Redco Stonington LLC / Stonington Village Partners LLC, Robinson and Cole LLP, care of John J. Casey. And then PZ 253 SPA and plus GPP, CRT-1 LLC, J. Casey. Make a motion to open the public hearing for the combined hearing for the PZ 253ZC, Redco Stonington LLC, Stonington Villages Partners LLC, Robinson and Cole LLP, care of J. Casey, and PZ 253 SPA plus GPP, CRT-1 LLC, J. Casey.
Motion made and seconded to open both items. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open both items. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes. If you just state on the record now that the hearing is open, that you're combining the two.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, John Casey from Robinson and Cole on behalf of the applicants. This is a joint public hearing on two applications. One is a zoning map amendment to amend the master plan for the neighborhood design district at the corner of Voluntown Road and Liberty Street, Pawcatuck. The other application is a site plan application, which is a second step required in the NDD to move on to construction. Both applications relate to the same development. And what it is, we've been here before, this is the continuing evolution of a transformative redevelopment project in Pawcatuck, turning a vacant movie theater property and neighboring parcels into a, well, now it's a construction site, but a large residential development. And now with this project, a unique opportunity for a specialized engineering, research, and technology development in town, which complements the approved residential development and really is a unique opportunity from the town for the town, as you will hear going forward. As I said, there's two complementary applications. First is the NDD Master Plan Amendment, in which we're seeking to replace what was previously approved in the master plan, a medical office building and pickleball facility with an approximately 80,000 square foot technology center, and also create a walking path around the existing NDD as a recreation option for the residents and the users of the site. And then, as I said, a site plan for the technology center. With me is our development team. Let's see, we have Michael Leach and Colin Leach and Phil Biondo representing the owners, Rico Stonington LLC, Stonington Village Partners LLC, and CRT1 LLC. And our technical team is from BL Companies, Matt Bruton, who will be doing civil engineering, Mike Kirker, who will do traffic, Dominic Seltruda is our landscaping architect, and Kristen Robbins is our architect for the building, and you'll hear from all of them tonight. Just as a matter of housekeeping, Candy stepped away, but we've returned all the mail receipts and return receipts for notice to the neighbors. That's all in the file.
Confirmed.
Thank you. And I alluded to earlier, this site has some history. I think most of the members of the commission will recall, but just briefly for the record, in February of 2024, this commission approved the zone change. The first zone change to change the property to a neighborhood development district. That only included the two original parcels, the movie theater parcel and the parcel on Liberty Street. Then shortly thereafter, the opportunity came to the owners to acquire the properties on the corner of Voluntown and Liberty. And so we came with an amendment to expand the NDD to 6 other properties, which included the properties on the corner as well as the Stop and Shop property. And in that amendment, we at that time proposed a medical office building and a pickleball facility. And at the same time, we were granted approval for a phase 1 site plan that permitted the construction of 3 of the 36 residential buildings, a mixed-use building with 16 residential units, a first-floor office space, and approximately 6,000 square foot clubhouse, pool, and cabana complex. On the site, what you're looking at, the areas in red, sort of on the left-hand side, yep, that Matt is showing you. Everything on that side was part of phase 1 site plan, and that is an active construction site and will be actually open for business probably sooner than any of us expect. So that's ongoing, and the owner's intention is to keep everything else moving on the site. So just to finish along that line, so on the original property, there's active construction going on. The McDonald's is still there and will remain there. The old Berkshire Bank building is still there. That'll be one of the last ones to be demolished and rebuilt along Liberty Street. Obviously, on the other parts of the NDD, the Stop and Shop is still there. No changes to the Stop and Shop. As you'll see, there is a proposed walking trail that will loop around the back of the Stop and Shop. And then what we're calling the amendment property, currently approved with what you see on the screen, the pickleball facility and the medical office building, approved as a master plan, not approved for a site plan yet. And our proposal here is to modify that into the 8,000 square foot, 4-story technology center. With that, I will turn it over to Matt to go through the civil engineering.
Great, thanks John. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Okay, just for the record, my name is Matthew Bruton, professional engineer in the state of Connecticut from BL Companies. Our address is 355 Research Parkway in Meriden, Connecticut. So just to give you a visual for what John was describing here, obviously this is the proposed master plan amendment. So just a couple of things before I move on to some of the detailed site plan things. Obviously, this is the corner. You see here that we're replacing that medical office building in pickleball with that 80,000 square foot building. And then John was speaking to as well, and you'll see this in greater detail further along the walking trails that I'm highlighting with the pointer here that are shown in orange as that additional amenity space. And you'll see obviously it goes even further back, but everything else that you've seen previously on the one remains the same. McDonald's, residential buildings, clubhouse, amenity space, and things of that nature. So I'm going to be focusing in on this southern corner. Just for orientation, Liberty Street is across the bottom and Voluntown Road is on the right hand side there. So if you guys have driven by recently, as John alluded to, obviously the former movie theater site is under construction, but this corner isn't. It's about 5.5 acres of kind of largely undeveloped land except for that single family house that's there. General topography goes from 54 to 38. Overall, it's kind of sloping towards the roads in this direction here, towards the south. And as John said, in the neighborhood development districts. And there are no wetlands on the site, no floodplains on the site of any nature. So focusing in on some of the aspects of the site plan here, I'll just highlight with, if you want to follow along. So we obviously have an 80,000 square foot office building. It's 4 stories. There's 322 parking spaces, as you can see here, that surround the building on all 3 sides. We do show a single access driveway here to Voluntown Road. We show a drop-off area at the main entrance of the building, applicable handicap parking spaces on 2 sides, EV charging spaces as well, and then a nice amenity that we're adding is we are adding frontage sidewalk where the laser is tracing now along Liberty Street, and it would continue up Voluntown Road to connect as you go back up the road towards the Stop and Shop. There's also, and you'll see this later in the graphics, there's also a proposed monument sign at the corner of Liberty Street and Voluntown Road, and also a smaller monument sign at a proposed driveway entrance on Voluntown Road. Zooming out a little bit, just to show you the whole extent of the proposed walking trail in the new package of this. You can see in orange here, we're picking up the walking trail along Voluntown Road that will allow circulation around the commercial aspect of the Stop and Shop, and also connectivity here for the residents that's currently under construction. That will allow us to kind of enter the wooded area here and kind of get a chase into the pond on site. So we think this is a great addition that will be great for the residents, not only in the neighborhood, but also in the newly constructed residents to walk, jog, take their dogs out, get some fresh air. So that is part of this amendment that we're seeking here today. The next 2 slides I'll kind of talk about together. So this is a grading plan, and the next is the drainage plan. So obviously existing conditions currently on site, there's no formal stormwater management system. Obviously the proposed development, as before with the medical office building, will increase impervious area, and we need to propose a stormwater management system to complement that development. So goal obviously is to make sure this complies with town regulations, 2023 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual, and 2023 Connecticut Guidelines for Soil Erosion and Sedimentation Control. The main objectives of these regulations and guidelines is to improve water quality, control runoff, and then obviously there's an operation and maintenance component to make sure the system operates as designed, from day one and the life of the system. So what we're proposing to do here is obviously a treatment train. There's a variety of systems, as you've heard from prior applications, that would do this. So what we proposed here is catch basins with deep sumps and hoods, hydrodynamic separators, gravel wetlands, and a subsurface detention system with an isolator row. This all is on site and does connect eventually and discharge to Voluntown Road, where there's an existing system within the road. The goal of this system is to handle a variety of storms, from the 2-year storm to a 100-year storm per the Stormwater Quality Manual. And obviously, the end result that we've designed is a system that maintains or reduces peak flows off-site while maintaining the water quality standards. We've had multiple conversations and meetings with the town engineering staff and performed test bits on site with them a few weeks ago. We have a few more items to add up to this plan based on those conversations with them, but we're confident that we can accommodate their input to get their sign-off and hope to before the next meeting. In terms of an operation and maintenance plan, obviously, the goal is for the system, once installed, to be monitored and maintained per manufacturer's specifications. The system is working as designed. I won't go into crazy detail, but it includes things like sweeping the parking lot, removing sediment and trash from catch basins and hydrodynamic separators, maintaining vegetation, and looking for areas of erosion on site, snow removal, and then obviously removing sediment from forebays and underground detention systems. The schedule will be more frequent during the first year to make sure the site is stabilized, and obviously fall back to a more quarterly schedule as the site is stabilized. Utilities, all services that are needed to support this building are available in the adjacent roadways. So that includes water, sewer, gas, electric, and telephone. The design team has had several coordination calls with the police and fire departments to make sure that what utilities are needed to support not only the building, but the emergency services are involved. And as an example, we have coordinated with the fire department to place new fire hydrants on site based on where they think that they would need them in case of an emergency. We've also talked about the design vehicles being able to circulate around this building to make sure that if there was an event like so, they can get onto the site safely. Lastly, site lighting plan. Obviously, provide a photometric plan for staff to review for the proposed lighting on site. The goal is to provide safe light levels for future employees and visitors. The goal is to avoid light spillage as a nuisance to abutters and motorists. We're accomplishing this with LED, dark sky compliant, full cutoff fixtures, which is what is depicted on this plan here. So I'm not going to go anywhere. If you get any questions, happy to answer them now, but otherwise I will pass it off to my colleague Mike Herker to talk a little bit about traffic next.
I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask now, if you don't mind, like,
Absolutely, go for it.
how many vehicles, parking spaces in this versus the previous use?
Good question. We have 322 on site, which is what the one space more than the requirement for the size of the building. I don't know what the prior one had, but I can probably figure that out and get that back to you shortly.
Okay, that's fine.
With your support.
Oh,
Unless John knows it.
So you can look at it, it kind of looks far fewer,
I have it. So that had 177 spaces.
So an increase of 150? 322 and 177? Does that have an impact on the traffic study?
Traffic is right here to tell you about it.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to hear that.
Yes.
Fine. I think I have a few more questions on stormwater management, but I'll let it roll till, so continue, John. Unless anyone else has any questions they want to ask us.
No.
Dave? No? Okay.
No, I think this is very early. I mean, you still have a lot of questions to answer, right? This is in general.
Attorney Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to.
I'm Mike Herker, a professional engineer in the state of Connecticut for BL Companies as well, 355 Research Parkway in Meriden. The purpose of the traffic impact study is to determine the need, if any, of land development on an adjacent roadway network and recommend mitigation if needed. So we look at existing conditions, no build and build conditions. And we looked at the AM, PM, and Saturday midday shopping periods. So we had collected data at 4 intersections. So we had turning movement counts collected at 4 intersections. So in the top left corner, we had Pawcatuck Farms Road at Route 2, Liberty Street. We also have the bottom left corner, the Elm Ridge Road intersection with Liberty Street and Voluntown Road. We looked at Hickey Drive at Voluntown Road as well, and then Pawcatuck Farms Road at Voluntown Road in the top right corner. These traffic counts were obtained or were collected in 2024 and were projected out after talking with the Bureau of Policy and Planning. It was projected out 1% from 2024 to 2025. And, do you mind going back up one slide?
Sorry.
You're okay. We have a photographic inventory and we verified any of the roadway geometry and lane arrangements as well. But like I said, we projected out the counts from 2024 to 2025 per the Bureau of Policy and Planning at Connecticut DOT. So we look at our existing conditions that we, like I said, were projected out to 2025, and then our no-build conditions were based on those existing conditions. So the no-build was projected out to the build year of 2029 and represents the conditions without there being the project in place. And again, talking with DOT, that same Bureau of Policy and Planning, the traffic counts were grown by 3% from 2025 to 2029. And there were no approved or pending developments in the study area to consider after talking with DOT as well. So access to the site. So there are 2 existing driveways on Pawcatuck Farms Road, top left corner and top right corner that we previously discussed. There is the one existing right-in driveway along Route 2, Liberty Street, and there is the one new curb cut adjacent from Hickey Drive in the bottom right corner as well. Like I said, we projected out the existing counts to the build year of 2029 and distributed it to the surrounding roadway network. The IT trip generation manual, the 11th edition, was used for the trip generation for the site, and the trip distribution patterns along the roadway network were we distributed the traffic to that roadway network, and essentially your no-build traffic plus your new site traffic would equal what your build traffic is. So this was the previously approved master plan that was already discussed. It includes the 232 units of multifamily housing. It includes the general office building, and then the recreational center, the pickleball courts, and the medical office building, both of which are coming out for what's on the next slide. And you can see, I guess, before we go to the next slide, the 262 trips generated in the AM peak for the previous site, 382 for the PM, and 226 in total for the Saturday midday. By comparison, for this site, where we're substituting out those previous 2 land uses for what this tech center or the research and development center is how it was coded in IT trip generation manual. Our net new trips is 203 in the AM peak, 225 in the PM peak, and 101 in the Saturday midday. And so this is just a comparison showing the previously approved redevelopment against the new proposed redevelopment, which is showing a reduction in trips between those 2 sites of negative, or a reduction in trips of 59 in the AM peak hour, 157 in the PM peak hour, and 125 in Saturday midday. In order to analyze the operations on the surrounding roadway network, we use Synchro, which is industry practice to use Synchro. Version 11 is what was used in this situation, which is the most current in this situation. And we had the highway capacity manual as is your criteria for determining your levels of service. So essentially, your delay is a direct function, or your level of service is a direct function of your delay. So you can see there's 2 columns, one for signalized intersections and one for unsignalized intersections. The amount of delay is a little bit different, but different thresholds for each level of service. So the left-hand side, the left column, is what was previously approved, and the right-hand column is what is being proposed now. Each table presents a no-build scenario versus a build scenario. So again, 2029, excuse me, 2029 no build. So this is without the site, same projected out to 2029 versus the build scenario, also projected out to 2029. And you can see that there's no difference between no build and build for the first 2 tables up at the top. Going down a row, you can see that there's between no build and build, the level of services remaining at A for the AM peak hour, the PM peak hour, and the Saturday peak hour, compared to the previously approved site, which showed a slight reduction in the PM and Saturday peak hours. Going down to the 3rd row of tables, there is a similar reduction in level of service from level of service B to level of service C in the AM and PM peak hour, in our proposed site as well as the previously approved site. This is a increase in delay in about 4 seconds of delay. And this is for the worst case movement. It's not because it's an unsignalized intersection, we look at the worst case movement. So this is the Hickey Drive approach. So this level of service increase, or the delay increase of 4 seconds triggered the level of service change from B to C. It's 4 seconds in both AM and PM peak hour. Going down to the 4th row of tables, there is a reduction in level of service from B to C, whereas AM and Saturday are remaining the same with a level of service B. The reduction in the PM peak hour is a 1 second increase in, because it is a signalized intersection, we looked at the overall intersection delay, so 1 second of increase in delay is the only change at this intersection, and that's overall intersection-wide is a 1 second increase in delay, and that actually triggered the level of service B to C change in the PM peak hour. And the standard, the industry standard is a level of service D or better is considered acceptable. And you can see in existing or in no build and build scenarios, your levels of service for all these intersections are ranging from A to C. Just a quick summary. So we have the levels of service at the 4 intersections that we looked at and the site driveways as well. Where the site driveways as well included a level of service of B under all conditions for both, or for the added site driveway. The second bullet is, it is not anticipated that the proposed development will have an impact on the surrounding roadway network, like I mentioned with the slight increases in delay, again being less of an increase in delay than what was previously approved in the master plan. And the third bullet being that the site will be reviewed by OSTA because it exceeds the 100,000 square foot. It exceeds 100,000 square feet as well as 100 residential units, and there is also under a previous OSTA administrative decision as well. So this will be reviewed by OSTA moving forward. And that wraps up the traffic summary. I guess I could take questions now, or if not, I can pass it up to Dominic.
I'm trying to reconcile the difference in parking versus peak hour counts. And I think I understand it, and it's pretty simple. Is it that ITE distributes the traffic different for a tech center than it does a medical office, which has people arriving in the peak hour and departing in the peak hour at greater numbers?
Yeah, so Matt, would you mind going back maybe 3 slides to slide 18 or 19, 18 and 19. So, yes, so if you were to look here and look at the second, or the recreation row, so row 3,
yeah,
and the medical center row 4, if you were to sum up those, you're talking about 145 trips in the AM peak hour, 239 in the PM, and 126, hopefully my math was correct on all those, 126 in the Saturday peak hour. And now if you were to go a slide ahead, and we're talking about less in all situations. Obviously, Saturday.
The distribution is different.
The distribution is different, and it's being and there's less trips being. The real answer is there's
but really more cars overall.
Yeah,
it's because you got more parking.
we're adding like 80 spaces.
So you're generating more trips overall in 24 hours. It's just not distributed into the peaks, the AM and PM peaks.
Well, the parking doesn't push the traffic.
Right, the number of parking spaces is dictated by zone.
But I'm assuming, okay, so let's just take that a logical step. So let's say all that parking's occupied, right? So I think that's where we're going.
I don't think we can go there though.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering.
The whistle doesn't blow.
It begs that question.
Yeah.
The ITE comes up with the trip generation, so, and that's widely accepted.
Yep.
Okay, I think I got it, thanks. Feel free to ask that question.
Yeah, one more question. So I live down Elmridge Road, so I sometimes go by that intersection 4 or 5 times a day. But on the Hickey Drive one, as you're going down, I'm a little concerned for people taking a left out of there because it's, I don't, it looks there like you might have the sight lines, but there's also a big grade change, because people come zooming around there. Are you gonna be able to take a left there?
So if we go,
That might
You
be
mean
more
left
civil.
left out of
out.
the new
Yeah,
driveway.
yeah.
okay, so left out of the new driveway, yeah, current, if you were to go back to the site plan.
Because that's your only entrance in and out. So.
Exactly.
So we do show this is a full access driveway. You can take a left in or out from Voluntown Road into the site, and if you're leaving the site, you could go right onto Voluntown Road towards Route 2, or left back to Stop and Shop.
Are there some required adequate sight lines? Did anybody take a look at that?
Yeah,
Do you have them? Yeah.
Yeah, we did, and they are adequate, yeah.
Yeah, the sight lines we have included in the traffic impact study as well.
Any other questions of the applicants, traffic engineer or civil engineer? I do have some drainage questions that I want to ask, but I'll defer to you.
And just before we have Dominic come up, I think, at least for me, when we talked about the traffic, it just reminded me that there is a master plan approval for this. And, you know, so, and like the traffic, the driveway is not changing, the traffic's getting a little better, the numbers, and it's proposed and it was approved that there's going to be a big building there. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but just to sort of keep it in mind, we're not starting from a blank slate here. There's already been a master plan approval, and we're just asking to change basically the use, and we're trying to justify that in the NDD. And office buildings are an allowable use in the NDD. So I know it's kind of human
We
nature.
get that,
Yeah.
but you dramatically increase the amount of parking, dramatically. So it begs certain questions. that we
Right. Oh,
have.
no, and as
I realize you have to have them to comply with zoning, and yet it has a positive impact on, the change in use has a positive impact on peak hour traffic.
Yes.
So, you know, and that's all understood.
Yeah,
But we got to get that on the record.
exactly. I think we did. So I'll turn it over to Dominic now.
Thank you for the record, Dominic Sultruda, BL Companies, 355 Research Parkway, Meriden, Connecticut. I'm the Director of Landscape Architect and the lead landscape architect with BL Companies. I'm going to talk to you about the vegetation that's going to be on site a little bit differently. First and foremost, you can see all the landscaping requirements have been met for the current zoning regulations in terms of all the nuance and how we have to address that, going above and beyond. And in terms of the plant schedule, we won't talk about that for a little while. What we try to do is create a palette of both natives and native adjacents and some naturalized landscape that's going to inhabit the site. Within that, we wanted to make sure that we balance both evergreen shrub form and deciduous shrub form in the areas. We'll talk about those in a second. But then we also wanted to have visual interest, both multi-season visual interest as much as possible on the site. In terms of, I think you can go to the next one because I can talk about that. So this is the current view. As you know, looking on the right-hand side is Voluntown Road, on the left-hand side is Route 2 or Liberty Street. So this is an intersection. We wanted to show you this first so you can kind of see the lay of the land out there the way it currently sits right now. And then we're going to go to it yet, but we're going to go to a visual view first, and then I can start to talk about the hierarchy of the vegetation as it flows through the site. You see the existing single-family residence, some low brush in the foreground, and then as we transition into the new look for the site, this is what we're envisioning. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to have that forward, mid, and background views of the building. We wanted to have filtered views. We're accomplishing that both with obviously banding near the sidewalk with low vegetation. We're sprinkling in both evergreens and deciduous, holly, azaleas, different types of grasses. Obviously at the first monumental sign which sits on that corner announcing the entrance or the area as such. And then what we did with the tree scheme as we worked our way back, there's columnar form maples along the roadway, done in such a cadence to provide filtered views, but also to break up the views of the actual building that sits behind it. in the parking areas that you can see, we're interspersing different types of tree plantings in all of the islands, for that matter. Obviously, a twofold. One, to get some vertical elements into the actual parking area itself, but also kind of break it up so we have some thermal cooling in those areas as well. A lot of parking lot islands, obviously by the regulation and also by the nature of the actual design. A lot of those islands, there's a few islands that do have some turf on them. We kept that to a minimum, so we actually brought in a lot of ground covers in the islands as well. We're accomplishing that both with low creeping junipers. We've got catmint islands up near, or lily turf and catmint up near the entrance. And then the same theme of some of the vegetation that we banded the roadway with, which was twofold. Obviously, it's for headlights in the actual parking areas. We tried to accompany that along the actual building perimeter, the foundation plantings that occur within it. Some of the items I mentioned in terms of breaking up, we're using multiple different trees. We've got maples, locusts. We're bringing in some native adjacents up to the front of the building and some natives, so we're bringing in both cherry, and we're also bringing in dogwoods. Smaller there, but they kind of give that stately look to that entrance sequence. And then we're peppering in some perennials, annuals at the building, at the punch near the sign that you see on the screen, and then also the other monument sign near the entrance. The overall goal was to provide lawn areas, obviously, under the road for the sight lines, and also for a more of a relaxed maintenance look as you get onto Route 2 or onto the side streets. And then obviously some areas within the zone. We'll call out, not noticed on this, we'll go back to the site plan at some point. You have the walkway that encapsulates, we talked about the trail. There is a pedestrian connection that will make from this building up to the other complex. So we kind of believe that some of the people that live in that would work in this area, so we wanted that pedestrian linkage and connection throughout the site within that. Outside of that, that's kind of it. We didn't have the site plan, we have the planning plans in the back house, but we wanted to jump into this because it shows a lot more of the nuance of how the landscaping was developed for the site. With that, entertain questions, and I think I'm turning over. I think the next picture is going to be for the architect.
Do you have any plan that compares the landscaping, total coverage by landscaping, the previous master plan with this one?
I can get that information by the end, likely. And we'll look at my drawings.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Robbins with BL Companies, licensed architect in the state of Connecticut. And looking at the building, our image is the 80,000 square feet, 4-story, fully sprinklered steel building that we kind of mimic the more contemporary look to illustrate what's going on inside the building. We're looking at what would be a research and development technology center focused on data processing. So a lot of computer and programming aspects of it. And the inside is predominantly office space, research labs, a lot of like IT, conference centers, collaboration spaces, creating kind of an incubator type, generating ideas. And so the outside, we broke up the size of the building by changing materials, keeping it a little more neutral palette with varying warm grays, some white aspects, to have horizontal metal panel, vertical metal panel, some ribbed panel. We also brought in some brick veneer at the base of the building, again in the beige gray tones, and then some blue accents just to, again, give a scale for the pedestrian side, bring the building a little bit lower. And in addition, some shading eyebrows at our storefront and some awnings for coverage. As Don mentioned, there is connection, at the corner of the building to the back side of the residential complex. So an entrance there where they can, employees come in, cafeteria side, and then be able to go to the residential. This was presented to the Architectural Review Design Board and was received favorably. They did not have comments specific to the exterior of the building. And then the other image here are the monument signage, the larger one on the corner with the smaller one at the entrance. Based off of what's allowed in the NDD district, we do comply with the size of those signage bands.
Is it lit?
What's that?
Is it lit?
Yes.
How?
They would be internally lit letters.
Okay.
And we brought using the same finishes from the building, so the metal panel with the brick veneer.
Thank you.
And visit to the metal.
So we did pick this view for the images. It's the most that you'll see of this building, but coming from the other direction, southbound Route 2, it would be screened both by the topography and the vegetation. So that just changes perspective a little bit as you see the residential complex, in the backside of what's already being built.
Is that residential complex accurately drawn, or is that just filler?
That is a representation based off of what was presented previously.
And approved.
And approved, correct.
And accurately drawn.
But there's a
And
big difference
accurately
in,
drawn.
yeah, big difference in height.
That's what it is.
You have 54 feet, would this be the tallest building in Stonington? Can't even know.
I don't know, but I doubt it.
There's nothing over, what was the hotel just was,
I think it all depends on the ladder for the fire department.
anyhow,
Yeah,
it's tall.
We did meet with the fire department, so it is fully sprinklered. We'd have a BDA system for their radio, a radio master box. We've gone through what they would like to see.
Speaking of which, there were a number of items on the staff report where Clifton was awaiting comment. Some of those comments came in, and I believe they were emailed to you. But one of them was the fire department. And,
Wasn't there a memo from Clifton with
Well-
some unaddressed comments just recently?
There's a lot,
yeah. From BL Company, from Steve Trinkus? Is that what you're looking at?
No, I don't think so. I just heard about it today, and it's from Clifton, and it was some unaddressed items.
That's nothing on that
I
file.
can't find it on my computer.
The applicant, again, John Casey for the record, we're only aware of the staff report that we received in the normal course on Friday. And as Candy mentioned, my understanding from talking to Adriana was that it was written before Clifton left. So, for example, all the comments, saying that all the comments hadn't come in, many of them have come in.
Maybe
my
that's what
count
it was.
5.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
what it was.
Like Conservation Commission, Police Commission, Town Engineer, WPCA, and Fire District.
I think that's what it was.
All came in.
I have a question on the stormwater management plan. You did not mention as a part of the plan water quality or quantity monitoring moving forward after it's built. And I think we need to discuss, just as we need to discuss with other applicants, is the need for a maintenance bond. What happens if this fails? And I think we need to consider the imposition of the requirement of a maintenance bond. These are all going to be owned and maintained and operated by private owners, and the only other fallback plan is for the town to come in, and that's not going to happen. So I don't know what the commission's feelings on it are, but I think water quality monitoring and quantity monitoring would be more active in the early phases of it to ensure that it's working. And then, just as you do with other operational issues, it would gravitate to a lesser requirement as it would like an annual requirement or biannual requirement as you moved on and demonstrate that it's working as designed.
I would defer to our engineer and maybe in consultation with the town engineer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I briefly spoke on it, and we've spoken with Mr. Greenlaw and Mr. Trinkets about obviously providing an operation and maintenance manual to make sure this is operating the same on day one as it is in year 1 or in year 10, right, to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. My only, I guess, comment on the bond is that makes sense in terms of a lot of those things. We usually do those for erosion control measures, landscaping, those sorts of things. I think the only difficult thing sometimes with a maintenance bond for stormwater is it's forever, right? So there's going to have to be some discussion maybe with the attorneys on how money is held indefinitely. That's usually the problem with a maintenance bond and that sort of thing. But obviously, I think there can be some
This is going to go on in perpetuity, and you know, at some point in time, it's going to have to be rebuilt. By whom?
Right.
And that type of guarantee in place, I think, becomes important to the town. In terms of the whole issue of monitoring your, you know, I mean, you're in a different zone here. It's important that we protect groundwater.
Absolutely.
And I don't think there's any question that the monitoring for quality, at least, should take place to prove that it's performing as designed, and then the requirements could be lesser in out years.
If I recall from the movie theater property, we had the in place.
Correct.
You know, and I think there was years, right, of
with very good results.
Yeah, with very good results.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, monthly reports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
monthly reports of the system.
And we have no reason to anticipate it will be any different here.
No,
But
same owner.
anticipating and ensuring are different things. And, you know, I think it's prudent in view of the importance of groundwater protection to make sure that we do the same here. And I guess I would defer to town engineer and Mr. Trinkus, whose expertise lies in those areas, to look at maintenance bond and monitoring programs to build into the O&M manuals in some sensible way, unless the board differs in
No,
opinion.
I think it makes sense, what you outlined.
And that was my only questions on stormwater management.
So, a slightly different topic, but in connection with, I think, a error in Clifton's report. He noted that there was no waivers requested, but we did request, and we just don't know how it got lost in the shuffle, a waiver of the municipal fiscal impact statement.
That's what it was. That was the issue that I was thinking of.
Oh, that was, that was, as soon as I saw
Right.
the report
That
from
was the issue that I
Adriana,
was thinking.
I said, you should have this, I just resent it to her, she said she was gonna send it out.
Okay.
So, I mean, basically, to summarize, you have the request, but we're requesting a waiver. We did a municipal fiscal impact statement for both the original NDD and the amendment, and we feel that we're really just swapping out one non-residential use for another, and that the fiscal impact analysis from the First Amendment of the NDD really applies here. It gives you, I think you can rely on that outcome. We're not adding any children to the school system, and actually my math indicated that there'll be a net benefit using the calculations in the old report. I came up with a net $22,000 a year on the good to the town for additional taxes based on, it's all based on square footage. So I'm not an economist, but I can do middle school math.
You just play one on TV. Just play one on TV.
Not even. So that, we're asking for that waiver, know it said.
That's
in
what the,
report.
that's what I was trying to think.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it was.
So we are requesting that. We don't request any of the other waivers. We've provided, public safety and traffic, public works. We've commented on the cultural, aesthetic, and heritage issues. And again, these are all the same. The impacts, again, changing from one building and use to another. Excuse me. I don't think changes from the master plan review of this. All those items are basically the same. It's already in the NDP, so it's just a question of changing the use. With that, and I don't know I'll use, Mr. Chairman, your pleasure of the commission. It's 10:35. I know there was a recommendation in the report to continue the hearing. Sorry. We do believe that we provided a comprehensive response to the town engineer's comments, but I understand he hasn't responded to those yet.
On an application like this where we have stormwater protection issues.
Yep.
It would be very difficult for us to close the hearing. It would be unfair to you because, then you've got new information that's introduced that you don't have an opportunity to rebut. So,
Totally understand.
but I would not want to close the public hearing before asking if anyone in the audience wants.
Well, that's, I feel like we're at that part, like we've given our basic, our case in chief. We've answered the questions. If you're going to hear from the public now, I would just reserve our sort of responses
That's very
and
kind,
wrap
John.
up.
It's very
till
kind.
later. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So with that, we can.
So if the commission has no further questions of the applicant, we'll move to public comment.
Okay.
So,
You were going to the state for an affordable housing. What's the status of that?
I don't know, Michael.
We have it. Have it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a condition of approval of the first master plan.
Yeah,
That
we did it with,
home.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have it in my notes.
CT.
Michael, you signed in?
Oh.
I do have it here, I just found it. in my notes.
Chapa. Do you want to know the parameters of it? So for the,
Why don't you use the microphone if you could? Thank
So
you.
over the 232 units.
Just pull it in closer to you. People in the back right here.
232 units, we are 20% affordable. Workforce.
That's excellent.
yeah, 46, yeah.
That's excellent. I appreciate you working with us on that. It's very important.
We listened.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And the medical building, what was the square footage of that?
Well, that's the little bit of the misnomer here, because the square footage of the medical building was 40,000 square feet, so it was 20,000 footprint. And then the activity center with the Y.
Right.
50,000 square footprint. So
Okay.
together, that was a 70,000 square foot footprint. And we moved from 70,000 square foot footprint to 20.
Okay, now I'm back, okay.
And then made up the difference in parking.
Yeah, you can
right?
see,
Yeah.
Matt just put it up so that you can see that.
It's either that or a parking garage.
Right.
Yeah. No question.
Right.
Yeah.
Overall impervious surface does not
The
change.
last thing,
Yeah.
for the IT stuff, I'm just being nosy, any more specific than data processing? What?
Yeah, we all want to know who the tenant is.
Well, I think.
It's a high-tech research facility. Right.
I think that's fine.
And just to clarify, so this is on the overlay protection for the aquifer too, so there's nothing that will occur that's against the rules for
Industrial,
what can
heavy
happen in the
industrial,
aquifer.
hazardous waste.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
all high-end computers, that's what's imagined here. So, We even joked about not saying the word lab. It's a computer lab. And I think someone said.
Any other questions?
I just need a
Commission.
point of clarification from my minutes. You said there was no increase in impervious surface, but I think earlier we heard there was, so I'm...
Don't quote me. I'm saying just in general, when you look at the approved master plan versus the proposed, and I just got whispered in my ear, it's maybe a wash. I don't.
Yeah, so just back for the record, I was speaking about from existing conditions today, where it's a forested single-family house. In general, it's from what it is as you drive by to what we're proposing, it's an increase in impervious. I couldn't tell you exactly back to back, I can go back to that numbers exactly, but it's pretty close to what was approved with the original master plan.
And I'm just asking that question. Yeah, for the record, you'd ask that question. We want to quantify it, what was in the original master plan versus now. It does appear to be a wash or a little bit better because of that building square footage reduction, even with the increase in the parking.
Okay.
We have more green, but we're going to verify that.
Okay, thank you.
We'll get you that number.
You get the time to do it now. Okay. Any other questions of the applicant?
Can I ask a question? Maybe for our side, I'm just trying to figure out, I know this is an NDD, but the highway interchange zone has a maximum building height of 25 feet, up to 50 if you pull it back from the road, but this is 54. Is that gonna be a problem?
Under the NDD regulations, we get to suggest and you get to approve the maximum height. So I think we tried to stay in the ballpark of things. We're not trying to build the tallest building. Maybe Kristen is, but. Sorry.
But I think you'll succeed.
Thank you, Dave. That's an excellent question. If there are no further questions, is the commission comfortable moving to public input?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Everybody comfortable moving to public input?
It's only 40
Yes.
feet, right?
Then I would ask at this point, if anyone from the public would like to make a statement either for, against, or just a general comment. Please come forward. Thank you.
Still Janice Mink.
Hasn't changed.
18 William Street, Pawcatuck.
Since last report.
No, still concerned about the aquifer, and I've spoken a bit with the developer. He assured me this is not a data center, but I do know that in Groton the data center was struck down, and a lot of tech centers that process data require a lot of water to cool the computers. And this was my worry. Also, how much water consumption will this unknown tech company consume? Will there be noise? Will there be heat? Will there be light? These are the things that accompany some tech centers, some data centers. And if this is a harmless one, that's great. A harmless one, can it be converted to another kind of one? I don't know. These are just open questions I have.
Just a point on the Groton data center, that was huge.
Yeah.
And it was the, I think the cogen aspects of it that were the big environmental issues there. They were going to make their own power.
Yeah.
And that had a huge impact on air quality.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great. Yeah.
I think that might have, at least if we're talking about.
I think we are. Yeah, and there were just some questions also in our neighborhood in general, like is this monster now moving over this way? You know, like people don't know because they're not experts.
That was much larger than this.
Yeah. Okay.
Different usage.
Well, that was my question, my comments.
Anyone else? Good evening.
Lisa Kennedy from the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce. Just a couple of things. One, we're really excited about 300 jobs of this caliber potentially coming to this region and supporting the businesses. not just the businesses, obviously in Pawcatuck, in and around this neighborhood, but if you think about coming into Westerly, over the bridge down by, Gray Sail, where Hilltop Cafe in the north end of Westerly is, we've received a lot of positive comments of people saying, wow, this will really make a huge difference for us. So there is definitely some excitement about that aspect of things. So hopefully it's a win-win project for us, and this is the type of salaries and clean-looking building that a lot of towns wish they had coming in. They spend a lot of money going all around to seminars and to expos trying to lure businesses like this to come to the community. So we're pretty excited about it.
Thank you for your positive comments. Carlene, did you want to speak?
Well, I have a lot of questions,
Sure.
stimulated by the presentation tonight, because I didn't have time to read the reports from Clifton. Okay.
We're always glad to hear from you.
Well, I have about 6 or 7, and they're for different people. One of them is the drive that's going to be at Hickey, the drive on Valentine Road that aligns with Hickey. Is that the same entrance as the first time, in the first application?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, thinking about that and hearing about that tonight, it's probably not a good idea, I don't think. I think the road starts curving over there, and I drive over there when I go shopping to Stop and Shop, and I think that could be a problem.
Aligning roadways like that in intersections is a fundamental principle of traffic engineering. You never want to offset intersections because it creates the potential for angular collisions.
Even on a curve, when you can't get around.
Especially on a curve.
Whatever. That 322 parking spaces really caught my attention tonight. And is that, you're saying it's because of our zoning regulations?
That's interesting, isn't it?
Sometimes if you think about the Big Y, it's probably got more parking than what it needs. If you look at Walmarts in Westerly, they are really way over the parking lot. So I'm wondering if maybe we should think about looking at some of our parking regulations, because 322, are there going to be 322 people working there?
You would think that the ITE guidelines and the required parking would line up a lot closer than that. But what happens is that more vehicles arrive during other times during the day. That's what they're saying. So the parking is required, but the vehicles are arriving at different times during the day, not during the peak hours.
For just that building you're talking about?
We'll probably get a better answer on that, but that's what it appears to be, here, is that the distribution is different. When you have like a medical office building and the whole thing fires up early in the morning and all the employees are getting there, and the employees are a big part of who go into a medical office building. They're all arriving first thing in the morning and they're all leaving, in the peak hour at night. So that influences the peak hour effect of and what I'm guessing, and I'm just guessing, but they confirmed it, is that ITE has the distribution for a tech office building as more evenly throughout the day, in and out. That is the logical explanation for it.
And then OSTA was mentioned. You have a lot of experience with that, and that's only after this is approved?
I'm sorry, what?
OSTA.
Yes, it has to be approved
Yeah.
locally first.
Yeah.
By you?
Yes.
And what happens if they don't like it?
Well, then, if it's a tremendous difference, they have to come back to us with the changes. So if let's say OSTA looks at this and happens to agree with your traffic engineering opinion that that entrance should be someplace else, that would have to come back to us.
I'm wondering how long it's gonna take for those trees to grow, like they show
I
in
was
the
gonna
picture.
ask what the caliper of them was, but I,
Even if it's a big caliber, I mean, it's gonna take maybe 10 years.
that's a question for the applicant, we'll get an answer.
Well, the landscaper, architect,
No,
should answer
the
that.
landscape architect, correct.
Yeah, right. And that, the CRT-1 LLC, that is a technical company, is technology company, is that what that is?
I-
Maybe the
I
young
think
lady
we
can
heard,
answer
we
that.
heard it's data-oriented.
I'll answer, I'll answer.
Yeah, or the lady who represented it should. And I didn't have a chance to look at the regulations about signs and lighting in the lights. They said it was gonna be internally lit.
The letters would be internally
Is
lit.
that legal? I didn't look back on the regs. Let's make sure it's right.
I mean, the staff, the building official looks at this and did not comment. We can find out from the building official.
Well, I think that needs to be checked. I really do. And the last thing is, they're touting, they're going to have 20% of their people under the Build for Connecticut thing. If my memory serves me correctly, they only are bound for 6 years.
Yeah, correct.
Not 30 like all the other 30-G requires, the 30 or 40 years, not just 6 years.
I think it's still commendable that anyone steps up with an affordable housing goal for any period of time. And 6 years is not nothing.
And that was a voluntary step by the
Voluntary
applicant
step,
on that
yeah.
original. They didn't have, we had no power to compel them, but they went
And
and
they
found.
complied with the zoning regulations.
Right.
They didn't ask for any of the 830G, waiver of all zoning regulations. We had some say in this one, so, I mean, if we could get every developer of multifamily housing to come up with 20% for 6 years, our numbers would look a lot different. And we don't have to compromise our zoning regulations. 830G is a total compromise of the zoning regulations.
830G is the worst thing our legislature
I cannot
ever did to us. Thank you.
respond to that.
Oops, I gotta slide this thing.
Counselor, did you want to answer that one question about the name of,
Well, I could go,
or do you want to wait till next time?
or I'll wait till everyone's done.
Okay.
Somebody else.
Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, O'Brien, 40 Palmer Street,
Evening.
I too was struck by the amount of parking there and a comment from the earlier hearing about the loss of permeable surface and going from that single-family house surrounded by all the grassland to this 320-some parking spaces is quite considerable. And perhaps there isn't much change to the prior site plan with the medical center. But then another thing that struck me was the fact that it is the requirements of the town to have that much parking. And there was the discussion about the height of the building and how there was, it sounded like there was some possible adjustment with recommendations. And again, is the parking truly aligned with the needs of the building, the number of employees and visitors? Or are we requiring excess parking? Certainly seeing Big Y and Walmart and everything, there is a lot of empty parking just sitting there with no use.
Thank you, good points. And we are going to look at the parking. Thank you. Anyone else?
You didn't sign in.
Hearing none, I think the...
Did he want to make one clarification, I think, Tracy?
Yeah.
Or is he going to do that?
You want to do that tonight, or do you want to wait? Okay.
Just while people are here, just
Sure.
quickly.
Surely.
Yep.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, John Casey for the applicant, just going in order, Janice's comment, this is not a data center, and it's an office building.
we call it a technology center because we expect the users, the tenants, to be sort of high-end businesses. But it's not a data center with, you know, powering AI.
With racks of computers.
No, no, no. And actually, there's floor plans in the plan set. So if someone wanted to see, you know, its offices, its conference rooms, its cafeteria, its people, we wouldn't need 320 parking spaces if it was for computers. So I think, so it is a
Thank
new
you for that
story.
clarification.
Yeah, so that's that. Just very quickly on Carlene's comments, and I think somebody's got to address Hickey Drive. We lined it up with the existing drive. We think that's the safest way. There's adequate sight lines. The comments about the number of parking spaces, we're following the zoning regulations there. OSTA, we have to go to OSTA afterwards. I'll answer the question. So CRT1 LLC, that's just the current property owner of that corner. That's not the end user. It's just the name of that property owner. So they're not a technology company, they're a real estate company. We believe the signs are all legal.
I can respond to that when you're done.
Okay. And again, it was a voluntary determination to have 20% of the units be affordable. And as Michael said earlier, they're happy to do it. We thank the commission for that recommendation. And I think that's it. I don't know if Dominic wants to talk about the tree growth, just to hit all the points now while people are here, in case they're not here when we come back. We'll just...
While you're at it, can you explain the term native adjacent? I've just never heard.
I'm going to start with a comment about the height of the trees. The current trees are 2 to 2.5 inch caliber trees. Most of the trees on that site will be installed at anywhere between 10 and 14 feet in height. That's going in day of. We revert back actually in the regulation. We're following the zoning regulation on the preferred caliper size, and it's actually good size to put them in on. You can put in bigger trees by choice, but they don't adapt. It's just like a human being. They want to make sure that the actual plant material adapts to the site because they're moved usually from nursery stock, balled and burlapped into that area. At maturity, a lot of those trees are going to be 30, 40 feet, which is bigger than the graphic. We estimate anywhere between 10 to 12 years into maturity. Some of them are more fast growing than others. And then it also breaks down by the microenvironment that they're actually growing in. So, you know, per se, like some of the trees that are in some of the shaded areas may grow a little slower than some of the other ones, but we anticipate it in a 10 to 12 year lifespan to go up to those sizes. We didn't go to absolute build out size on the actual document because that's not what you're going to see over time.
Just for curiosity, a 2.5 inch caliber deciduous tree is probably 20 years old.
Plus or minus, depending on if they're fast growing or slow growing. I mean, your oaks are going to be smaller. You know, your hardwoods are growing smaller, and softwoods like.
But it's not a sapling. This tree has been growing. This tree's been growing for 15 or 20 years.
Correct. And then native adjacent is basically the way plant material operates now. Finding true natives is difficult, so you're getting cultivars that are now of natives, so they're native adjacent. It's just a technical term.
Yeah, just never heard it. Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, almost 27 years, and I never thought I'd see like registered marks on all the plant material. Like, we have to actually put them in our documents that they're either copyrighted or registered.
Thank you.
Nothing further from the applicant tonight. If you want to continue, we'll wrap.
I think if there's nothing further from the applicant.
As far as the signage is concerned, it is conforming to the regulations. The letters are allowed to be internally lit as long as they don't measure more than 15% of the total size of the surface area.
Thank you, Candy. You know, before we adjourn, I'd like to thank Candy for stepping up and you know, with the departure of our planner and doing a fabulous job picking up the ball in a very, very busy outcome. Thank you. We appreciate it. With that, being no further items on our agenda this evening, we got to continue the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue this public hearing to the next scheduled meeting, which is November 18th.
Both public hearings continued to the next meeting. Is there a second? Seconded by David. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Now
Chairman,
adjourned.
I make a motion to adjourn this.
Motion to adjourn, no second required. All in favor?
Aye.
That's
Anyone
November,
opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
November 20, November